Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there.
Hi.
We've got sexy Cirrus back again.
I am
Not
trying the
not that meat
experiments.
Cirrus isn't delightful.
Oh my god. It doesn't help that I physically don't have my regular camera here because it's currently packed up in the gym bag with like my lavalier mics and all of my other recording equipment because I was having to travel to record today.
Yeah, that'll do it. But
Yep.
yeah. So everybody in the chat wants to know my opinion on the debate. So I will tell you, my opinion on the debate was I stopped watching after the first like 20 to 30 minutes because it was just depressing, because like JD Vance was actually like doing decently and Tim Walz was very clearly nervous, and like he was lying. Like, okay, Vance was lying the entire time. Like, I don't
Yeah.
he was lying just as much as Trump was. But like, thinking of it from the perspective of someone who like someone who isn't tied into the politics of everything as tightly as we are,
They're not going to catch the lies.
yeah, they're not going to catch the lies. And Vance came across way more confident, and oftentimes people just have a tendency to believe the person who speaks with more confidence just because human brains fucking suck.
Me see strong men. Me like.
Yeah.
Put strong men on podium. Those strong men stand up. Passes the egg test.
Now, like, that saying, I don't think Waltz did bad. I just think, like, he was clearly nervous. He's America's favorite dad, is how I've heard him described. He's like this big cuddly teddy bear kind of guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the kind of person that you would expect to do well in a debate. So like, it's fine. But also we have to keep in mind that, like, I was talking to you about this a little bit offline, but the presidential debate has a minuscule effect on the election outcome. I can't imagine the vice presidential debate matters in the slightest.
No, the vice presidential debate doesn't have anywhere near as much oomph, like, in terms of like what it actually affects in the election outcome.
Every election cycle, whenever they announce the vice presidential debate, when I hear that, my reaction is always, like, every single time, it's always been, oh yeah, that's a thing that happens. Because I just forget that it even, like, it took Walz and Vance having the debate to remind me that, oh yeah, wasn't that one where Mike Pence like ate a fly? But yeah.
Also, so, as of right now, where the polls are considered, Democrats and Republicans are neck and neck on their approval of both candidates. Tim Walz, in terms of who won the presidential debate, 72% of Democrats believe that Walz did, and 71% of Republicans believe that JD Vance did. And who do you think would be a better vice president? This is also split almost exactly down the middle. 92% is Tim Walz, 91% is for JD Vance. But that's 92% of Democrats and 91% of Republicans. So we see an almost even split and a bipartisan split here. Whereas when Trump had his debate with Harris, you saw damage control happening everywhere in the Republican Party. This one, we're actually seeing an even split amongst the parties where both parties think my guy did better.
And that's basically a return to political norms.
Yeah, it's a return.
I think my guy won because he said the things that I agree with in advance.
Yeah, in advance for JD Vance. But I guess some highlights from the debate, some stuff that definitely stuck out to me. So they opened up with a conversation about Israel and Lebanon. They didn't talk about Gaza, really. There was just a quick...
like the first question was, would you support Israel doing a preemptive strike on Iran?
On Iran. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking Lebanon because that's where a lot of the fighting's been happening right now. I'm very tired, everybody. For context, I've spent my time in Douglasville talking to the Democratic Party there, getting interviews over there, which we'll see on the channel here in like 4 or 5 days. But I am spent and tired. I have been up all day in a literal film studio. But that all said, Walls did what I expected him to do on his answer. He kind of waffled on the answer really, really hard. But I don't think he had many options, right? You can't give the response that most leftists wants you to have, which is, hey, maybe genocide's bad. You can't really do that in a debate when Iran is a classic enemy of the United States in general, irrespective of their support for places like Gaza, insofar as that goes. So he gave the response we kind of expected him to give. The response from Vance, though, was really, really weird. He started off with a fucking biography.
Yeah.
Instead of answering with it was a yes or no question. Would you support a preemptive strike? And instead of answering that question, he starts by going, I want to answer the question, but first,
I grew up in a working class family.
I want to give an introduction to myself. I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who I am. I want to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes
that I'm not weird.
Yeah, that it's me and the couch wasn't real.
Yeah, like, it was a bit weird, that pivot.
Yeah, it felt very, very, very strange.
But I mean, I feel like the whole Israel thing wasn't handled well by anyone, the moderators included, because I don't know, maybe I'm too black and white on this.
Fucking talk about Gaza at all. That wasn't brought up, which is weird.
Well, yeah, there's that too, but maybe I'm just too black and white on this issue, but like they phrase it like, oh, Israel is on the brink of war with Iran, and
we're just ignoring what they've been doing with Lebanon.
Well, I'm sitting there like, didn't Iran just like launch a bunch of missiles at them like today?
Yeah.
This is like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like exchanging missile fire with another country is not the brink of war. That's just war. Like whether it's been officially declared or not, like whatever, that's a technicality. That's war. That's what war is.
I think the reason there's a technicality there is because Israel does have the Iron Dome defense system. So
yeah, so the attack was mostly ineffective.
Yeah, it gets mostly nullified, and I think it comes down to there weren't as many casualties as there could have been therefore. But it's in any common sense world, as much as I hate using that word, in any common sense world, yes, sending a bunch of fucking missiles at a country is a declaration of war.
Yeah.
So when the conversation moved to climate change, it felt even weirder because instead of talking about climate change, JD Vance pivoted to America has too many jobs in China.
I remember that. He's like, oh yeah, Trump and I are for clean air. And the way we get clean air is by bringing manufacturing jobs back home. Like putting a bunch of factories in the United States doesn't like, now don't get me wrong, there needs to be reformation to like make factories cleaner, and a lot of times one of the reasons they do go off like overseas is because of looser environmental regulations, but like they literally are trying to like gut the EPA to a point where it's not going to be like, haven't they already like hasn't the Supreme Court already declared that the EPA has no teeth?
Well, Trump also yanked us out of the Paris Climate Accords when he was president. So like I don't want to hear any weird conversations about if we bring America, like there were 3 separate questions that JD Vance answered with, well, if we bring American jobs back, that'll solve that problem. Like bringing those jobs back to America does not by default solve the problem of them being cleaner. And the way that he worded it, he described the countries that those factories were going to as dirty countries. Now, he did make an appeal that I think most leftists would agree is a good one. He pointed out that a lot of those countries engage in slave labor in order to keep their factories running, which is true, and it is a thing that needs to be solved. However, there is an issue. The issue is that historically, it has been the deregulation of American business that has allowed the shipping out of those businesses to those other countries in the first place. So typically, under Republican regimes, more of those jobs are able to be thrown overseas. More jobs tend to get created during Democratic leadership.
Did you see the chart that I don't know where it came from, so take it with a grain of salt, but it was like manufacturing jobs in the United States over time, and it would like listed which president was in charge, and under Trump it was like almost completely flat, and as soon as Biden took over, it like shot up through the roof. It was like,
well, yeah, we had like 80,000 new manufacturing jobs created under Biden.
Yeah.
Like in general, you get a Democratic president in, they have a better track record on this kind of stuff. They are trusted less with the economy. Propaganda is very, very good. But typically you get the deficit going down. You get the national debt goes down when you have a Democrat in office. Jobs tend to go up when you have a Democrat in office. So it's very, very weird that Vance pivoted so hard on that every single time, especially when it had nothing to do with the question. Now, the part about the debate that I think swung it around, though, and it was the part that all of us were kind of waiting for with bated breath, it was when the certification of the 2020 election came up as a point of question. Asked to J.D. Vance, hey, you said you wouldn't have certified the election. You would have made another magical pull out of your ass way of getting the election certified. So do you stand by that? And J.D. Vance waffled on that. And then Tim Walz pressed him and said, no, hold on. Do you think that Donald Trump lost the election?
I did see that clip.
And J.D. Vance responds, you're focused on the past. I'm focused on the future. And Walz immediately did exactly what he was supposed to do. He picked up on that and went, that is a damning non-answer.
Yep.
That is a very damning non-answer. And I think that moment of the debate is when things turned over in Walz's favor, because he was able to point out, hey, you should be able to have confidence in your American elections. This is not how you inspire confidence in the American election system. This is how you sow chaos.
Yeah. I would just like to point out that my Twitch chat has decided that Shady Pants Vance is a nickname for him now.
Shady Pants Vance?
Yeah. There's been multiple people kind of settled on that. They're having a little conversation about that, and like, I approve. I think that fits.
Yeah. Also, one thing that Walz did very good later on in the debate as well was point out, and this is where I think it comes down to a unique aspect of how this debate goes, because both of the vice president picks, one is not looking at an incumbent president. They're looking at a vice president who is trying to become president. And the other one is looking at a previously incumbent president. So when we're talking about the policy issues that each person failed on, most of the things that you throw at Harris are actually going to stick to Biden and not Harris. But most of the things
I did notice that in the part of the debate that I did watch, was that every single answer was like, well, Harris has been in power for 4 years. How come she hasn't done anything? And of course,
no, she hasn't. She's been a vice president.
Yeah, and like Tim Walz can't respond with, well, the vice president doesn't actually do anything except cast tie-breaking votes, because he's arguing that like it's a super important job that I would like you to hire me for. So you can't just you can't go into the job interview saying this job actually is nothing.
But you can't do that. So like
it is the case that Harris has not been in charge of this administration. She's the backup if something happens to the old man.
When pressed on each of these issues, the common refrain that can be given, and Walz did not give it often enough because, again, he was not in a position where he could, is that that's not a Harris issue, that's a Biden issue. Yes, Harris shares in that, but that's like saying that Pence,
she's not the one driving the boat right now.
Yeah, she's not the one driving the boat. She is the one shoveling coal into the engine, hoping that it's going in the right direction. Whereas when Walz got to talk about policies that Trump failed on, he got to say things like, Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to build you a big, beautiful wall and make Mexico pay for it. And less than 2% of that wall ever even got built. And Mexico didn't pay a dime towards it. But here we are again, 9 years afterwards, and y'all are doing the same dehumanizing song and dance, trying to get this thing built that's not going to solve the problem and wasn't even built the first time when you promised it.
Drew Harrison says the VP also chairs the Senate. Is that why Vance is going for this job? He just heard that there was a chair involved.
Oh my God, there's a chair?
Someone's got to tell him. Maybe he'll drop out. It's like, that's not what chair means in this context.
Also, Walls, again, this is in the latter half of the debate where Walls is performing better. JD Vance tried to say that Donald Trump was one of the best bipartisan presidents that we've ever had, and I
Oh,
think that's
fuck.
and I think that's it's carryover from Biden rhetoric, right? Because when Biden got into office, he fought very, very hard on the platform of "I'm not a Democratic president, I'm an American president." That's a thing that he
Yeah.
ran on that Trump stole retroactively. And I think JD Vance
Oh,
during his debate prep.
Trump takes so much credit from both Biden and Obama. Like, good things that happened on either end of his presidency, he's just like, yeah, note, that was me. I did that.
It was me, not Obama. So when he tried to bring that up, that Trump was so good on bipartisanship, Walls was able to point out that Trump's one of the major things Trump did was kill a bipartisan immigration bill.
Mm-hmm.
One that like it just went to his office and Trump killed it despite both sides agreeing on it. And Walls then goes and says, we could have come together and solved this issue. But Donald Trump decided that it was better to continue to make it an issue because he'd rather run on the issue than solve the issue. And drilling into that really, really hard, I think was a very, very good strategy. It definitely helped pivot him better in the latter half of the debate when it really did not begin that great for him. Also, Walls owned the Christian audience very, very quickly.
Yeah,
he brought up
the Matthew 25 thing.
2540.
Yeah.
When he brought up Matthew 2540. So that was another very, very good thing for him to do and he did it preemptively. I'm glad he didn't do it as a response, because when Biden does this, typically he has to do it as a response, bring up his Catholicism as a response to somebody saying this isn't the Christian thing to do or whatever. Tim Walz was able to bring it up immediately and go, I'm going to head this off at the pass. That was a good strategy thing for me. I did appreciate that, even as an atheist, but looking at this from the majority of people in the United States are still Christian. This is the strategy. These are the people that you need to convince to vote for you. God fucking damn it.
Rosina says, didn't you hear Trump capped insulin prices at $35? That's one of the policies that I was talking about earlier that came, that one was Biden, right?
Yeah, the $35 one is Biden, and then Harris is running on a continuation of it that will also include a $2,000 cap on medicine and an $800 decrease in yearly medication costs or yearly insurance costs.
Have y'all considered just doing single-payer public health care for all?
So the Democratic Party has tried to run on that once, and that was when Bernie Sanders was a primary candidate. That was one of the things he ran on. And we can mince words about Bernie getting screwed by the Democratic Party. I am perfectly willing to accept that is one of the things that probably happened. But as of right now, I think the party...
I feel like in the climate at the time, even if Bernie hadn't gotten railroaded by the party, which I'm not denying that he did, but even if he hadn't, he probably wouldn't have won that election.
Yeah, I think the Democratic Party at large, as much as I hate to say this, I think they see that healthcare is an issue that people care about, but they care about it within the confines of what they understand, and they understand the insurance market. They don't understand single payer, which is stupid.
It's insurance that's way fucking cheaper. We've discussed this here before. I pay $700 a year for my family of 4. Yes, I know there's 7 people in my family right now, but because we file our taxes separately, I don't pay for her health care.
Yeah,
but I do, because that's how taxes work.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It would be a better system. I think that the Democratic Party as a whole right now are choosing not to run on that, but to run mostly on abortion, which they wouldn't have to run on if they codified it. Turns out Democrats actually took some pretty good strides in codifying Obergefell. It's one of the reasons why we're not actually worried about that being stripped away anymore.
Codifying Roe? Because wasn't... Oh, no, Obergefell. Okay, no, sorry. You said Obergefell.
Yeah, gay marriage.
You said Obergefell, and my head heard Dobbs.
Right.
I was like, that's the bad one, isn't it? It's like, nope, that's the gay marriage one.
Yeah, we actually did get that, for the most part, codified. So we don't have to worry about that going away under anybody else's presidency the way that Roe fell. So I do have a modicum of confidence, not a lot, but a little bit of confidence that the Democratic Party will go, oh, we should probably codify Roe. We should probably do something to make this protected at a federal level now. But right now they're choosing to run on the issue and not run on the medicine issue, which sucks. I want them fighting for my medicine, but I recognize this is the corner that the Republicans painted them in. Though, as of right now, I am still not too terribly worried about Trump winning. The polls have things kind of neck and neck in most states, but I also kind of expect that.
Yeah, Harris is ahead in the swing states.
And that's I think the part that I care about.
Like, this is a few days old, so it might no longer be accurate, but the last thing I heard was Wisconsin was the primary battleground state that, like, will be the deciding factor, and Harris was ahead by, like, 2 or 3 points. So, like, but, like, that's one of those weird things, like, people that are in favor of the Electoral College will be like, oh, we can't just let all the people that live in the urban areas decide everything and, like, fuck all the rest of us. But it's like, okay, but, like, you're just trading, like, these few cities with big populations for these few states with small populations. Like, it's still a minority of people holding the rest of the nation hostage, except if there's no electoral college, it's just popular vote, then everybody's vote is at least equal. Like, and, like, who's to say? Like, right now, if you're a Republican living in New York City, you are completely disenfranchised. Because Republicans voting in New York, not going to fucking matter. New York's going blue because New York goes blue. Get rid of the Electoral College, though, and suddenly the Republicans in New York have a lot more power. So, like, getting rid of the Electoral College is good for everybody, except it'd be really good for the Democrats because they always win the popular vote in the last, like, what, 20 years?
Yeah. Like, Al Gore won the popular vote. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Ironically, Biden won the popular vote, too.
Rosina says, I pay $9.68 per month for all of my medical insurances as a single person via Cobra. Yeah.
I could not fathom paying that much because I don't have that much money. God, I'm trying to think if there's anything else from the debate that really stuck out to me. Really. I know that there was the point where they both got grilled on stuff that they said previously that turned out to be wrong. So one of them was like Walls being in China during the Tiananmen Square incident.
Oh, yeah.
And Walls had to point out that, like, hey, I brought classes there all the time. I'm not saying that I was correct in saying those specific words, but I brought my class to China multiple times, sometimes around some of these events. Yeah. That's not the same thing as me being there during the event, I understand, but like, that was his position there. And then for Vance, when Vance was told, like, the directing afterwards was Vance being told, hey, what about you with your words you said about Donald Trump? And he just started off by going, I was wrong. First of all, I believed what the media stories said about Donald Trump, but they were all fabrications. Donald Trump delivered for the American people. When they got back to
sellout.
When they got back to Roe v. Wade, though, that's another area where I think Walls was way, way stronger on, because Vance did his usual song and dance of saying, well, the rape is inconvenient.
Well, yeah, because, like, the Republicans have an issue with abortion now that Roe is overturned, because they know abortion is an issue that loses voters massively in every state. Like, every time it's been up for vote in any state, even the reddest of red states, abortion access always wins. It's wildly popular. Everybody wants it. Republicans and Democrats, just like Trump says is the exact opposite of the case, that everybody wants it to be a state decision. It's like, no, it's literally the exact opposite. Everybody just wants Roe versus Wade to be back in effect. But they also know that their hardcore MAGA base, their main constituency, that, like, the people that are going to vote for them the most consistently, are also anti-abortion.
Yeah.
So, like, when those are the main part of your base, you can't alienate them by saying, oh, no, I am actually pro-abortion. You have to, like, walk the line to pretend like you care about bodily autonomy while still making it clear to these guys that, oh, no, it's okay. I do still plan on curtailing women's rights.
Yeah, they literally have to pretend. They have to pretend that this is the best issue in the entire world, because their main voting base, the extremists that are radicalized to vote for them no matter what, are going to come out and vote. And if they don't stick to the election was a fraud, if they don't stick to abortion rights are bad, if they don't stick to those things, they lose the extremist vote, as shown when Nicholas Fuentes, of all people, decided to do his whole, there are 10,000 people here who won't be voting for you.
Out of the hat.
But I think that's indicative of a lot of people who, when they see that their based extremist god emperor isn't holding to all of his promises, they're willing to withhold their votes there. So I, for one, hope to see moderate Donald Trump, because moderate Donald Trump ironically loses more votes right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he posted on, I forget whether it was Truth Social or Twitter, but he went on one of his all caps rants being like, no, if there was an abortion ban on my desk, I would veto it. And like, okay, first off, I don't believe you. Second off, you just alienated a bunch of people that don't want you to veto that.
Yeah.
So, good. Keep it up. Anyway, I'm a little bit annoyed at how well that subject would segue into our first news story, because we haven't gotten to the news items that we're not covering yet. And some of these were too interesting for me to pass up, so I have to put the segue aside and make it more awkward. So first off, in the news stories that we're not covering, my anonymous source sent me an article. You remember that tweet where Mike Lindell was advertising his pillows for $14.88?
The $14.88 one, yeah.
Yeah. So
how'd that go for him?
There was some follow-up on that. He claimed that he didn't know what $14.88 meant when his pillows were priced that way.
Bullshit.
And then when they asked him about it, he denied that he's a Nazi, but he followed that up by saying, direct quote, "Some media called me and said, 'Are you going to apologize and take it down?' I said, 'No, I'm going to double down.'" So he claimed to not know what it meant, claimed to not be a Nazi, and then when he found out it was a Nazi dog whistle, he was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to still do that. Like,
the fuck?
He's such a fucking idiot.
Jeez, that's okay. This is why he lost to like a 10-year-old in a debate.
Come on. The kid was 12.
Yeah. You know what? Those 2 years made a huge difference.
Having kids in that age group, I can tell you they can make a huge difference.
Yeah, make a huge difference in people's opinions of Mike Lindell.
There was another story sent to me that college student voting rates are at a record high. 50% of college students voted in the 2020 election compared to a typical 15 to 20% for that age bracket. And this high turnout is being driven by things like climate change, reproductive rights, and LGBTQ rights, which doesn't bode well for Republicans, since those are all things they're against. Well, I mean, they're not against climate change. They're against doing anything to stop it.
Look, if you just have... Okay, actually, this is one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit more, that I forgot about this. So the thing with climate change, yes, having newly industrialized nations producing a lot of our goods, one of the slave labor is a huge problem with that, that needs to be dealt with. Another problem is that historically, when a nation becomes industrialized, their carbon footprint increases. However, also historically, the longer they stay industrialized, the more their carbon footprint decreases as their technology develops and gets more efficient. This is a thing that this is how the carbon footprint in America was decreased. We got better at doing this thing. We got better at doing regulations for it. We got better at having nuclear power plants ended up expanding here to a degree. It's kind of stalled a bit now, but a lot of our practices improved. And that's a thing that you can have in those nations. There's nothing wrong with having industrialized nations that we can trade with. Yeah, we need to have more jobs in America for people because people can't afford fucking milk right now. But there's nothing wrong with other nations being import-export partners with us. That prevents us from going to war with more people.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, one of the nations that we are an import-export partner with, Taiwan, there have been Republicans who have argued that the minute that we are able to manufacture the chipsets that we get from Taiwan, we will start abandoning them and then letting China take them over because we lose them as an import-export partner once we are the only ones who are manufacturing them. So there's actual fucking political ramifications to that are very, very bothersome. I remember there was something else on that was on my mind.
Yeah, no, well, that tracks. And last up on the stories that we're not covering, this one was just like I wanted to cover it as a main story, but there's just not enough meat there. There's an unmarried, child-free Republican candidate that borrowed his friend's wife and children for a campaign photo to pretend that they were his, so that he could seem more relatable.
He borrowed their wife and kids. Isn't that just polyamory with extra steps?
Only if they're doing stuff. I'm just like, it's just because, you know, he's running for an office with the party where the vice presidential candidate is on record as saying that people without children don't have a stake in the future of the country, so they don't deserve to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to present as a family man when he's not. Now, to be fair, he is engaged to someone, like, he's got a fiance and they just don't have kids yet or whatever. So, like, whatever. But, like, the fact that he felt the need to pretend to have a wife and kids, it's so telling of the Republican mindset. Like,
it's weird. Okay, so, like,
they don't care about the substance. They just want the appearance.
So, like, when I was talking with the Democratic campaign, when I was talking with the people in Douglasville who are in charge of that on both the local side and the Harris Walls side, every single one of them, I referred to my channel. Hey, this is the channel where I'm going to be doing stuff. I normally use a VTuber avatar. I talk with people through that avatar a lot, and it gives me a niche audience that not a lot of people end up reaching to. And irrespective of the fact that that avatar was brought on after years of other stuff happening, there are still people who came here for the avatar first, weirdly, and then stayed for the politics.
You say weirdly, but I know your audience.
It's fucking fascinating to me, but not in the way you think. So it strikes me as so awkward that somebody would be so paranoid about their image and go, no, I have to hide the fact that I too am childless cat lady. I have to hide that fact, or Daddy Vance won't like me.
30 to 50 annoyingly feral peccaries newsletters sent a $2 super chat, said funding Cirrus Mandarin lessons to apologize. I appreciate that, but this is my channel. You have to go to Cirrus's channel to fund Cirrus's stuff. I will take your $2.
I don't get money from Rhino's channel, and Rhino doesn't get money from my channel.
I will use them for not Mandarin lessons. Okay, let's be real. I'm going to feed kids with them. You're
going to use them for Mandarin Oranges.
Probably, actually. My partner is on a Mandarin Orange kick, so that's not outside the realm of possibility.
There you
go.
At all. They're great for breakfast. I love oranges for breakfast.
You miss out when you only hear my side of the conversation, dear. She was very confused as to why we were suddenly talking about oranges.
Boy Dilly says, I came because I saw your clips on YouTube. Then I learned that you were friends with Rhino, who I already watched. Hey, I also do stuff because I watched Rhino. Turns out.
Yeah.
You mentioned that I mention it all the time, so now I'm going to mention it more because you've called attention to it.
Well, I'm also not mentioning things because I don't know if I'm allowed to mention things.
Like what?
Well, the things that we were talking about before. Well, like for lack of a better term, let's call it the green room before we went live.
Is it the CNN stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, my audience already knows about all that.
Yeah, but I don't know that. So I'm not going to assume that I can like just blurt out your career plans on my channel.
So a quick announcement for everybody who may not be aware. I am currently doing a massive job hunt where I am not only putting in applications for places like CNN and various places like Outreach, trying to get involved in in the organizing side of canvassing. I am also trying to further my voice acting career. I've already done a video talking about that a little bit. Overton is still in development. I don't know when exactly it's going to be coming out because there's a lot of things that are going involved in there. But I've also taken on a producer role for part of the development of Overton, for some of the merchandising for it, so that I can get experience doing that as well, so that my resumes look better. I've also, like I've been saying, been talking with the local people who've been running some of the Democratic campaign stuff. So this Monday, I will be doing a stream with the Georgia representative of District 3 to talk about Project 2025, because while my project on Project 2025 has stalled because I've hit the wall where my expertise just isn't there. And unlike GE and Caitlin, I don't have their wealth of knowledge to rip through the damn thing. So I've grabbed somebody who is an expert on it and does educate people on it, and is also a representative in my state, actually in Georgia Congress, who's going to be coming on my channel to talk about her expertise there. I also have a video coming out soon where I'm talking to Chairman Kelly, who used to be one of the chairmans in Douglasville, Georgia. So I'm getting interviews with people who know more about how this shit works. There, so, cool. Now everybody knows everything.
So, yeah, just in my head, I'm picturing, like, I know, like, when you have your congressional person on, I imagine you're going to be in Meat Space Cirrus.
I'm going to be in Meat Space Cirrus,
yeah,
110%.
So, like, I was like, just imagining like a serious politician popping onto the stream, and they say you in your Catgirl titty outfit and me in my wizard hat. And I'm just like, that's a good way to never get a politician to come onto your show ever again.
100%. That is a way of doing that. Hello.
Rosina says, yay, Cirrus has concrete goals / jealousy. And Jester Lord of Fools has joined at the basic level. So welcome, Jester Lord of Fools.
Hello.
Yeah, basic. Yeah, no, so Cirrus and I were talking about that before the stream, and like, he brought up like, oh no, I wouldn't have done any of this if I wasn't inspired by your channel. And I'm sitting here like, and yet you are the one who is moving up in the world career-wise.
And I was like, I'm not really, like, putting in job applications is not moving up in the
Progress
world.
Only is saying, am I not a serious enough politician? Yes, you are. You are a serious politician. When you win your election, you are welcome to come on as an interview. Hell, maybe we can do that at some point anyway.
I think that would be a good idea, honestly. There's actually a really cool story there of, like, person who got involved in YouTube politics, just watching that content, going and getting elected, and then starting to do the work. Like, there's actually a big story there.
Absolutely.
Not even gonna lie.
I think you've emailed me before, so I'll try to find your email address and I'll try to remember to email you. But if
Alex has wit.
Yep. I know they have emailed me, so I'll be able to find it. Anyway, shall we do the news stories that we actually came here for?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, now that we're done talking about my concrete goals,
I would. No, it's not. I'm trying to think of a pun to do with like limestone or rocks or anything, and it's just nothing's happening.
Are you saying that no jokes solidified?
Yeah. That wasn't a very good one, but that's better than what I came up with, so you can have it.
I'm sorry, I don't have good enough flow for that. You know, like liquid concrete.
Yes, thank you. I got that. Thank you.
I'm glad you got it.
You think I just got rocks for brains?
They might be mixed into the concrete.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just imagining the big troll from Neverending Story. Yummy limestone.
Oh, they look like good, big, strong hands, don't they? Okay. On that note, let's go to the news.
All right, cool.
Oh, yeah, no, this is much less cheery than Neverending Story being eaten by the Nothing.
I dislike what's on my screen.
Yeah, no, so yeah, this was sent to me by Anonymous. This is our Anonymous. I promise they're not all anonymous this time. I'm sorry, Progress Only. I saw you commenting earlier. You didn't quite make it. No, it wasn't. There was someone else who was commenting. It might have been Progress Only. I don't know. I don't remember. But, yeah, no, I got my news from a variety of people today. But, yeah, no, as death rate surges, Texas asks Supreme Court to let it keep denying care to pregnant women. So, yeah, this is coming to us from Rolling Stone. State of Texas is asking the Supreme Court to allow it to continue denying emergency medical care to pregnant women, pretty please. There's There's been a new report that's showing that the state's maternal mortality rate has spiked dramatically since the state's first ban on abortion went into effect in 2021. Across the U.S., maternal mortality rose 11% between 2019 and 2022. In Texas, over the same period, the maternal death rate surged 56%. So, yeah, Roe versus Wade, like, you don't think abortion is healthcare? Abortion is literally healthcare, because as soon as they outlaw abortion, suddenly maternal death rate spikes. Did I lose a Cirrus? I lost a Cirrus. Oh, Cirrus sent me a picture of his computer blue screening. So, yeah. Bye, Cirrus. That was bad timing. Come on, sir. Why'd you have to crash at a time that's inconvenient to me? Ah, we got another hat. Thank you, Stoff. I don't know if Cirrus' stream is still up. If it is our stream now, comrade. Actually, this hat has flaps. Should I put the flaps down? There we go. That's how you wear a shapka, right? Cirrus' stream is also down. Okay, well, you know, I still have the ability to stream on Cirrus' thing. I don't know if my changing that at this point will actually work. Katini, thank you for the hydrate. I don't know how long it'll be before Cirrus comes back.
Oh, whoa.
But we still have him saying ooh when people chat. So everybody send super chats and we can pretend like Cirrus is still with us, because he loves saying Urus. Urus. Ooh. He loves saying ooh so much. Sing a toilet song about Cirrus. Oh, so I will mention, regarding the toilet song, I did not realize that people wouldn't realize what song I was playing. So, like, when I mentioned that it got copyright claimed, everybody was surprised. Like, you wrote a song and your own song got copyright claimed? What was this, Bizarro Universe, Rhino? Like, no, it was a, I just took the lyrics to Heart of Worship and made them about the toilet. And, apparently I played it well enough that it was recognizable as Heart of Worship. Oh, we got a Cirrus, we got a Cirrus! Is there a Cirrus? There's a Cirrus! Welcome back.
I don't want to do another fucking fundraiser because another fucking thing of mine has broken. But this is multiple times now. I have watched this blue screen while trying to stream, and it is starting to directly affect my ability to make income. I want to ram my head through drywall.
Do you know,
very hard.
Do you know what's causing the problem?
No idea.
Like, when you figure it out,
So,
message me when you figure it out, because I have a bazillion extra computer components, so I might be able to just, like, send you something.
that would be helpful. I know that because this has already been happening recently, Saki and I went to Micro Center earlier today and picked up a new solid state drive to swap out my boot drive, see if maybe that'll help. If maybe there's something corrupted on there. I don't know if that's going to fix it or not, but
I am a hoarder when it comes to technology stuff. And I'm trying to get better about that, but it like my dad started a podcast and he did so with my old microphone. And yeah, I have like 3 or 4 old cameras that every now and then they come in handy. Like when I go to Mexico and can't find the battery for my normal camera.
I love that my OBS can't even connect to my stream now for some reason. What? It's just saying can't connect to server.
I would start streaming on your channel, but I don't know what that would do to my stream if I change things in the middle of it. I've never tried that before, and stuff like that always makes me nervous.
That's entirely understandable. I I am not blaming you for that. All of my frustrations are aimed at my technology not working.
Fennec says, wait, can we listen to his podcast? I don't even know what his podcast is called, man. I've never listened to it.
Okay, let's see if
And
this is...
knowing my dad, he speaks way too quietly into the microphone. You can't even tell what he's saying anyway. Love you, Dad.
It's just saying failed to connect to server over and over again. I give up. I give up.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. My want to run my own stream is just, man. I do not know what the hell's going on and what the hell's wrong, and I don't know how to figure it out. So yeah, this is fun.
Speaking of fun, maternal mortality rose 11% between 2019 and 2022. Oh, no. Speaking of bad segues, and then in Texas over the same period. Yeah, well, yeah, but I remember how earlier I had a good segue, and then y'all made me.
This is the bad one.
This is the bad. Well, I mean, this is a bad one. I wouldn't have had to make that segue if your stream hadn't crashed. Asina Salon says search for Vice Rhino's dad. No, see, I probably wouldn't tell you guys what his podcast was called anyway, because he probably just uses his full name. Actually, I had to make him delete a tweet once because he doxed me.
Huh?
Like, I just posted something and he responded with, like, would you believe that I'm related to this guy? I can't believe that I have this as a son. Or like something like that. And it was funny and it was great. And I'm like, Dad, you use your full name there and nobody knows mine. Can you please delete that? It's funny.
Yeah.
But just please. Doxed myself multiple times. No, I haven't. I have, I've said my first name. It's Justin. That's not doxed.
I was about to say, this just in. You doxed yourself.
I have that shit locked down so tight that even if you did know my name, you probably can't find shit on me on the internet. Like, I think I might have told this story before, but when Aura sponsored me a while ago, which is one of those like scrub your data from the internet companies, one of the requirements for the ad is that you do like a Google search of your name before you use their service and then another one after. And I had to get like special, like I had to get exceptions for like what I was allowed to do in my thing, because when I searched for my name before using their service, nothing was there. So it's like, okay, you're like, you can't really do anything for me if there's nothing there for you to delete, because I'm a paranoid piece of shit anyway. But yeah, anyway, back to Texas, unfortunately. So
I want to go back to Texas.
Why would anyone want to go back to Texas? So over the same period, 2019 to 2022, maternal mortality in Texas rose 56%. And that's according to the CDC. All research points to Texas abortion ban as the primary driver of this alarming increase. Like, you stop allowing people to access healthcare related to pregnancy and birth, which, yes, abortion is healthcare, and shit like this happens. But the state
Imagine.
Yeah, so the state sued the Department of Health and Human Services, arguing that the Biden administration violated the Medicare and Administrative Procedure Act when it issued guidance clarifying that hospitals are required to provide emergency abortions if necessary to preserve a woman's health, even in states that, like Texas, ban abortion. So they sued over having to provide emergency life-saving medical care to pregnant people.
Like,
they said, we don't want to do that.
This is the reason why people are trying to travel to get this kind of healthcare. And it's scary to me that there are states that are trying to go, hey, by the way, if you travel to get this healthcare, that's bad. We're also going to track your menstrual cycles.
So, 30 to 50, not knowingly, Fira Peccary's newsletter says, no way, Jimmy Snow has a podcast? Jimmy Snow's my other daddy.
Oh.
And thank you for the 100 bits, Myonin Stankfoot. Nice username. Says, I'm going to take my money and use it to get the message out. Your local IBEW office is almost certainly sending resources to the affected areas of WNC. I assume that's Western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, and ETN, which I don't know, but I assume that's another hurricane-affected area. I just unloaded a massive haul at my local 379. The Asheville WNC IBEW local 238 will be receiving and distributing the resources. Let's organize the South and get rid of right to fire legislation. Is right to fire?
I think right to fire is the other side of right to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the ability to remove somebody from your employment without having to actually have a proper paper trail.
Okay.
And just say, I don't like this person, and then they have to go away, which is stupid as fuck.
Yeah, just my mind interpreted that as like a literal fire because like I'm thinking natural disasters. So I'm like, wouldn't the
I have a right to fire my gun.
Wouldn't the flood put out the fire? So,
wow.
No, sometimes I'm just an idiot. There's nothing for it. Sorry.
That's okay. At least you can figure out how to get your stream to work. My computer just will. I've been trying to reconnect this whole time, and it's just not letting me do it.
I don't know if you know this, but I can also order donuts. I can't promise to be less awkward if I had to try to make small talk with the employees, though.
Okay, good. So when I was doing,
do you remember when you invited me on the stream to watch the debate live with you?
Yeah.
And I was just like, whatever makes sense. Did you get that was a reference, or did you think I was?
I didn't get that was a reference. I was just like, oh, sweet, I get to have you on today. That's great. I was already having a stressful day. I'll take the friendship.
No, so I'm sorry. Oh, your stream's back up. My phone just ooh-ooed.
What? There's no fucking way. It's not.
My phone just ooh-ooed. Your stream has to be up.
But it doesn't say I'm streaming on my end at all.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I was very tempted. I'm not going to lie. While I was doing the interviews, I was tempted once or twice to just say, okay, good, to one of their responses, just because we've all watched all of the... We've watched, like, everybody there, even one of them, like the old chairman of the Douglasville branch of the Democratic Party. She's 78 years old, but she's watched all of the debates and all of the JD Vance content, let's say. So I was like 95% certain that the jokes would be gotten and the jokes would be understood, but I was like, no, out of respect for the people I'm interviewing, I want to be able to do stuff like this again. I'm not gonna do that, but man,
it's tempting.
It was so tempting. It was so tempting, but I didn't want to have that moment where on camera I have to explain the joke that it's a joke at JD Vance's expense. I didn't want to have to do that.
Okay. Fish says, Sir Schrodinger stream live and not live at the same time. I don't know. My phone said ooh. The only time that happens is when Cirrus goes live. Oh no, that's the person I raided last time is live. It was her stream, and I haven't turned off notifications for her because what I did when I was collecting points to make you say ooh was I turned my Twitch notification to the sound of you saying ooh and then turned off notifications for everyone except you.
So it's allowing me to stream only to Twitch. It's not letting me dual stream.
That's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, so I guess
but
I'm
I mean,
here.
My Twitch viewers are higher than they've ever been. So as soon as you're back online, the guys that normally watch on your channel are leaving me.
Yeah, but your YouTube viewers tend to be higher than my Twitch viewers.
I know. Yeah, I know. I can see that.
Yeah.
It's okay, sirs. This is a mutually beneficial relationship.
It is a mutually beneficial relationship. Sylvie Snow is saying, all right, goodbye, second-class citizens. Yeah, my YouTube viewers are the second-class citizens of the stream. It's true.
As are my Twitch viewers.
They actually have fewer rights than the viewers on Twitch.
Yeah. You should change channel points to be called, like, second-class something. I don't know. Anyway, back to the news article. We have to get through all these at some point tonight. Texas won this argument in the Fifth Circuit earlier this year, allowing the state to continue prohibiting emergency abortions. The Biden administration is now appealing that decision, and Texas is asking the high court to let the Fifth Circuit decision stand. So basically, Texas sued the Biden administration for making them save people's lives. Who wants to do that?
How dare you make us do
that? Violates our rights. Having to
work.
having to have doctors save people in a medical situation, that violates our rights. And the Fifth Circuit apparently said,
old Gus. Fucking well.
There we go.
Yeah.
But the
anyway,
the Fifth Circuit apparently agreed that it violated their rights to make doctors save people in emergency situations. But the Biden administration said, no, we need to take this to the Supreme Court because they're so reasonable nowadays. I mean, It has to be tried. We all know how it's going to end up, but it has to be tried.
Man, just a reminder for everybody here, we live in a world where the Supreme Court justices are a lifelong appointment. That's really awkward.
It's really fucking dumb is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the stretch, floor.
Like, that was probably made a rule when, like, the life expectancy was, like, 50 years old.
Like, that was a decision that was made. Not a good one, but it was made.
Yeah, well, if we look at the original intent of the founders, they actually wanted a revolution to happen when the ensconced power structures got too comfortable. And so that's really the founders saying that we should violently overthrow the Supreme Court. See how originalism can be twisted no matter what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, that is literally what they did.
It's true.
Like,
terrifying, but it's true.
How America started.
No, all we did was throw tea bags in the Boston Harbor. We didn't actually do anything besides that. It was just that. Only that one thing. And only ever that one thing. Don't you forget it.
They did it in red face, though.
It was only ever that one thing, and don't you forget it.
Trail of Tears. No, that wasn't the Revolution. That was the Civil War.
Smallpox blankets. But only ever that one thing.
I don't actually know the words for that one. From sea to shining sea. I was off key. I'm sorry. Anyway, the fundamental question, both cases, so Supreme Court dismissed an earlier case that was similar, Moyle versus United States. Fundamental question at the heart of both cases is the same. Should doctors be allowed to treat pregnant women with health and life-threatening conditions, or should those women be forced to grow sick and in some cases die because of a state law banning a specific treatment they need? And I feel like that is a decision that should remain between people and their doctors, which is why Roe versus Wade was fine.
Things worked perfectly fine under Roe.
Well, not perfectly fine.
They could have been better, but they were better than what we have right now.
Mm-hmm. At least one... God damn it, every time I take the fucking hat off, somebody sends me another one.
My hats are off to you?
That's not even money. They don't even pay me for this. This is just points. Free points that they get. Should change that. Should change that. Make it so you have to, like, super chat $5 to make me wear a hat. Except that would involve work on the back end, which I'm not very good at, so that's never going to happen. Okay. Jennifer Alvarez Estrada Glick died of complications from her pregnancy in 2022. 4 experts who examined her case told The New Yorker that she likely would have lived had she been offered and accepted an abortion. She was never even given the choice. Because it was Texas. Yes, Source makes you save 50,000 points. This is just a hat, though. And honestly, the hats are kind of fun. And I like the idea of, like, us discussing these super serious topics like maternal mortality and people not knowing why I'm wearing a hat because I cut out all of the random tangents that we talk about. So just like, why is he wearing a fascinator while talking about this super serious topic? And because I'm an idiot, I like that idea that I'm confusing people. And so I continue to do it. Anyway, back to the news article. Yeah, so she would have lived if she had an abortion, according to medical experts. But because Texas, she dead.
Who cares about what medical experts say? We should be allowed to kill women.
This is the pro-life party. Remember, they call themselves
We're
pro-life.
so pro-life, you can fucking die.
Attorney General Ken Paxton, assisted by the Alliance Defending Alliance Defending Freedom, which is the conservative Christian law firm that helped engineer the destruction of Roe v. Wade, insists that he and his co-counsel are simply trying to ascertain whether Joe Biden's HHS violated the law by issuing its clarification without the appropriate notice and comment period and/or without proper statutory authorization. So basically, we're trying to kill women but make it look like it's a procedural thing.
It's just very, very important that these women fucking die. As opposed
They're dying
to,
for our freedom, Cirrus.
Yes, our freedom to watch them die.
Yes.
Ugh. Can I be done with like people in general in the United States? That'd be great.
I have space in my basement. No, I don't really. But you're welcome in my basement if you feel the need.
I'm sure if you pour a little more concrete, there's always space for more.
It's a different kind of bodies in the basement if you're pouring concrete for it. Republican attorney generals like Paxton have increasingly begun outsourcing their culture war litigation to ADF, as Rolling Stone has previously reported. So, like, yeah, they've been very active in suing to protect the right to not let people access healthcare. Yeah, and then after the Supreme Court struck down the federal right to abortion in 2022, Idaho imposed a near-total ban on pregnancy terminations in the state. The ban included one exception. Abortions could be provided to save a pregnant person's life, but the language presented doctors and nurses with a difficult challenge, especially when it came to treating conditions like ectopic pregnancies and preterm premature rupture of membrane, both of which can be fatal if left untreated. They had to decide how sick a woman needed to be before they could legally intervene. And so this is where you get stories of people being told, like, oh, no, we can't treat you yet. Go bleed in your car for a few hours and come back to us when you have a fever.
We need you to be hurt more. When once upon a time, we could just say, oh, so you just want an abortion? Well, now's a good time to get one.
And we actually did talk about this. I don't know if it was when Roe versus Wade was overturned or whether it was shortly after that. But, like, we have talked about this before, about how the question of whether or not the pregnant person's life is in danger is not an all or nothing. It's like it's not like there's a certain threshold where at this exact moment now their life is in danger, whereas before that it was not. Because that's not how anything works in medicine. Like when you see in the movies, they're like, oh yeah, no, we give you odds of surviving of like 60%. That's not actually anything real.
It's always made up.
It's always a judgment call on the doctor that's doing the treatment. And 100% of the time, in cases like this, it's best to just let the medical personnel use their expertise to make their own decisions and not threaten them with jail time if a priest thinks they made a wrong decision. So yeah, it needs to be kept between the pregnant person and their doctor. And if that means elective abortions are also a thing, then so be it.
Really?
Also, I would like to
Texas?
mention, I don't know how true this is because I just heard it from someone in the chat last week. I didn't notice it until after the stream. But apparently an elective surgery is basically counted, like anything that is scheduled is counted as elective, because the idea is if it was an emergency, you wouldn't schedule it. You go into the ER and they have to get you in as soon as possible. I don't know if that's actually how they count things as elective for the purposes of statistics, but that takes the majority of abortions are elective number and changes how it should be calculated. It's like, oh yeah, no, this baby has a medical condition where it is not going to survive, and so the longer we wait, the more risk there is to me. So let's schedule an abortion. Does that count as elective? Because I wouldn't say that's elective.
It's the same kind of weird ass terminology that we have to dance around when we determine whether something was an abortion or a miscarriage, and we don't really have a solidified way to figure out which one it was.
And that's when you end up with people being charged with murder for having a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's fun. Last year, a lower court halted in part enforcement of the Idaho ban, allowing emergency abortions at hospitals if they needed to protect the health of the mother. Shortly thereafter, though, the Supreme Court intervened to block that decision, preventing doctors from treating their patients in some cases, forcing them to fly those patients to a neighboring state for treatment. So,
Which is just more like the entire point of that is not to do states' rights, is to make it prohibitively expensive to get an abortion, which it already was.
So, ignoring that, that's all the article I want to talk about. But, like, just take it back to the states' rights thing. Why do states have more rights than the people that live in those states? Like, it would be, for some reason, it would be wrong for the federal government to say either yes abortion or no abortion, but it's okay for a state government to say that? Why is there, like, how arbitrary is that delineation there? Like, why does it matter? Like no, it's the people. It's the people's rights, and in this case, it's a right to choose. And if it's actually a thing that, like, maybe we should leave it up to the states to decide on a case by case basis, then what you're saying is you don't actually believe that abortion is murder. Because if you believed abortion was murder, that's a federal thing. Murder is just illegal. So if you actually believe abortion is murder, then no, it's not a states' rights issue. It's abortion is murder. Ban that shit.
So this is one of the reasons why during the debate with Walls and Vance, Walls pointed out, and this is a thing that I've said on my channel a lot of times, so I was really happy to hear the rhetoric. Geography doesn't determine morality.
Mm-hmm.
Geography doesn't magically determine that something is good or bad. So it's very, very stupid that we throw this to states' rights as if being born in Florida magically means that your body has different rules and regulations that you need to worry about than if you were born in New York.
Absolutely. 100% agree. So before we move on to the next story, Nefarious Name of Doom says, red wine today, how is it? So yeah, I went into the grocery store that normally I get my beer from, and they didn't have it. Well, they probably had it somewhere, but they, like, moved it or something, and I didn't feel like looking for it. So I was like, okay, I'll grab some red wine. And I can be a bit of a wine snob. I like fine wine. I like expensive wine. I like nice wine. This is the Bodacious Smooth Red. And it's one of those wines where, like, you know, normally you get a red wine and it's like, oh, is that a Merlot? Is that a Cabernet Sauvignon? Is that a Pinot Noir? Is it a Baco Noir? Is it a Syrah? Is it a Valpolicella?
I don't know what any of these fucking words mean.
Yeah, no, there's a bazillion different types of wines that it could be.
Juice.
No, it's this one. This one is red, smooth red, and that's not unheard of. You can find wines that are like a red blend. But you read on the back and it'll tell you that, like, oh, this has got it, like, it's, you know, 50% Cab Merlot or Cabernet Sauvignon, 20% Merlot, like, it'll be a blend, like, they'll tell you what the blend is. But this one is like, nope, it's just red. These grapes were purple.
I'll take that over, you know, anything else.
Yeah. And Rosina says, look, Rhino's bringing up slavery again. Just wait till you see the video I just recorded today. That one's about sex slavery. It actually... Yay! I don't do this often, but it comes with a content warning at the beginning. And it's a response to Mike Winger. And he's a piece of shit.
He is certainly that.
I may or may not accidentally call him Matt at some point in the video, because they're both kind of pieces of shit in my mind, and both their names start with M. So while I was scripting, I kept
Mike Powell, Matt Winger.
I kept on accidentally typing Matt while I was scripting, and there was at least one spot where I had to, like I didn't catch the mistake, and so I had to change it as I was recording it. But, like, that's not to say that there wasn't one or two instances that slipped past unnoticed. Okay, someone just subscribed or something. Clueless Expert just subscribed for 2 months. Thank you for that. And SJL says Vance wants to leave it up to the state, but then criticizes Minnesota for making their own choices. Yeah. They are hypocrites.
You're Don't you just love JD Vance and his witty mannerisms?
Purple Rhymes with Horns says even if they died accidentally, desecrating the body is illegal in every state. That was another news story
Oh
that
yeah,
we looked at
because
last
like
week. Because she
if
had a
you
miscarriage in a
if you have a
toilet.
miscarriage in a toilet,
What was she supposed to
Yep.
do? She flushed the toilet. She was charged with desecrating a corpse. Like, what else are you supposed to do in that situation?
yep. Just ugh.
Okay. On to some semi-positive news.
Is it?
I mean, it's not negative news. This is stuff that we've known all along, but now we have science to back it up. Cis boys get gender-affirming surgeries more often than trans minors. So, like, new study came out in June.
Okay.
That they looked at all the gender-affirming surgeries in all the age groups, and they used anonymized health insurance data. So, like, their sample size is like 3 million kids and so many million adults or whatever. And I forget the exact numbers, but out of the 3 million kids, there was something like 187 gender-affirming surgeries. And
Okay.
97% of those were cis boys having breast reduction surgery. So, like,
I was completely unaware of that. Jesus.
yeah, so the vast majority of gender-affirming surgeries, especially performed on minors, which is extremely rare to begin with, but of the ones that actually happen, it's not trans kids, it's cis kids that, like, it'll be boys that are, I forget what it's called. They mention it in here, but what's it called? I don't know. I forget what it's called. But there's a condition that boys can get where they will start to grow breasts. Yeah, there we go. Fennec's got it. Gynecomastia. Gynecomastia?
Mm. Okay.
So that's a condition where men or boys will grow breasts. And as a boy going through puberty, if you are growing actual boobs, you're gonna get made. You're gonna get made fun of.
That's a traumatizing experience.
It's traumatizing. So like they will get gender affirming care, have those things removed.
You just end up being the guy from Fight Club.
I never watched Fight Club.
There's one character in Fight Club who I believe has that condition, and there is a moment where the main character like describes in detail the feeling of pressing his face into his friend's massive boobs
Okay.
as a form of comfort. Traumatizing comfort, but comfort nonetheless.
Risperidone/risperidol causes gynecomastia in young boys. I assume that's a medication of some kind.
Also, Ocean, thank you so much for gifting out 5 subs. I appreciate it.
Ocean, woo!
Ocean Keltoy. I've had multiple blue screens of death in the last couple days. I'm not happy, but hi.
So 30 to 50 annoyingly feral peccaries says, is circumcision also considered gender affirming care? Not for the purposes of this study. I wouldn't call that gender affirming. I would just straight up call that mutilation.
I mean, it is mutilation.
It's not necessary.
Ocean says, stop having the blue screen of death then. Man.
Okay.
Man.
Okay. So my partner, who's in school to become a therapist.
Wish.
She's in school to become a therapist, and she's doing her practicum now this year, or this semester. So she's actually like doing real therapy stuff now. But she's still got like school projects to do while doing the therapy, like reflections and like she's got projects she still has to do.
Yeah.
But she just got the introductory email for that, like, just goes out to everybody, including all the new students that started in September. And one of them was like, steps to, like, here's some tips to avoid plagiarism. And number 1 was
Don't
try
do it.
try writing things in your own words.
Well,
And so she read that and she's like, oh, this therapy thing's going to be easy if I can just take this approach to it. Like, have you considered just not being depressed? Oh, you feel like you're gaining weight? Have you tried just not being fat? Oh, like therapy's going to be easy. Just don't do it. Just don't do the thing. Just be
Just
mentally
don't do
healthy.
yeah. Just be happy.
Tinfoil cap, please, my lord. Also, yay, I actually made it this time, sir. You did not sage your PC before the stream. Omnissiah is displeased with you.
You know what? You're right. I should probably like boil some basil under my PC, and that'll fix it.
My tinfoil hat, unfortunately, got damaged beyond repair. But another crowd favorite is the octopus hat. And I know you're not on Twitch, so you didn't actually do a hat redeem. But I will make an exception because you actually gave me money, like the hat people don't normally. So yeah, no, I take it back. This is an exception. I like you better than the hat people. Anyone who gives me money can choose a hat, as opposed to the hat people who have to wait for the points, and then I just put on whatever the fuck hat I feel like.
Also, Van Brigg says, by the way, if you can show us the picture of the error, we can figure it out. Okay, cool. Here you go. Here is the error. That is there for you to see if you would like. There. I'm just going to throw my blue screen error for you all to see. People on Vice Rhino's stream get to see an actual politics stream. People on my screen, you get the blue screen.
Driver _ IRQL _ not _ less _ or _ equal. What failed?
It says
nviddmkm.sys. I assume that's a graphics card related thing based on the nvid.
And I do have an NVIDIA graphics card, so man, that would suck. That's probably one of the more expensive pieces.
If I have you know what? If this can be an excuse for me. If I have to send you one, I can send you a 3070, and I will put the 3080 back in my actual work PC. And then that gives me an excuse to buy one of the 50 series cards when they come out, which I absolutely do not need right now.
I have a 3080 Ti right now, and that's why I'm sincerely hoping that it doesn't get cooked, because yeah.
Okay, so the risperidone and risperidol are meds that are given to boys showing symptoms of autism. Okay. But yeah, so to bring us back to the topic at hand, so the author of the study says, we found that gender-affirming surgeries are rarely performed for God damn it, I can't talk. For the record, before I even started drinking, I was having trouble reading things today, so this isn't the alcohol's fault entirely.
Do better.
I'm not gonna not blame the alcohol, because I don't feel like it's hitting me like the beer does, but wine is actually stronger than beer, so it would be weird if it wasn't.
Ocean says, no more cars for you, just drivers.
Okay, I could do it.
No,
I can't. I'm too much of a backseat driver to let other people drive me around. Like, just ask my partner. She's probably a better driver than me, but like anytime we're in the car together, I am driving, because like whenever anyone else is driving, I'm just like, nope. But like, realistically, objectively speaking, she is probably the driver of the two of us.
This cipher is too complex.
Fennec says she could just gag you, but Fennec, now we're getting into
that's kinky territory.
You need to sign up for OnlyFans if you want that to happen.
Like, that's kinky territory. Even I know that.
Yeah, I'm not into that one.
So just a driver error update or rollback of the driver. Okay, no. I hope that will be enough. Saki still
update it and then roll it back.
Saki is also of the opinion that my boot drive is failing, so that's why we ended up picking up a new boot drive today. Not that I can afford a new boot drive, but it's fine. He's fine. It's fine.
Boot drives are cheaper than graphics cards.
They are much cheaper than graphics cards. It's true.
Okay, so they found that gender-affirming surgeries are rarely performed for transgender minors, suggesting that U.S. surgeons are appropriately following international guidelines and association around assessment and care. So yeah, we're not chopping kids' dicks off. Also, they split up into age group. I don't think they go into the specific numbers per age group, but it was something like 2 surgeries per 100,000 for the age group between 15 and 17, and 0.1 surgeries per 100,000 for the age group between 12 and 15, and there were just none under the age of 12. So there's 0 gender affirming surgeries under the age of 12. In between 12 and 15, it's negligible. And then 15 to 17, that's where the vast majority of them are happening. And the vast majority of the ones that are happening on cis kids.
It's almost like when you start banning gender affirming care, you hurt fewer trans people and you hurt more cis people, which you would actually like. So I know that I was surprised at the specificity of what this is when it comes to the top surgery, but in reality, it makes sense considering that there's just 100 times more cis kids than there are trans kids.
Okay, so they were looking at data from 22.8 million minors who had health insurance, and only 85% received any gender affirming surgery. Or no, not 85%, 85. So it's 85 individuals out of 22.8 million sample size. So like the total number is completely negligible. And then when you look at how the number breaks down between trans kids and cis kids, by banning gender affirming surgeries, you're hurting cis kids more than you're hurting trans kids. Overwhelmingly. Yeah. So like it's all just fear mongering.
The cruelty is the point. At a certain point, you just have to accept that the cruelty is the point. I wish it weren't the case. It's way more compelling to argue as if the people you're dealing with are regular people and not Saturday morning cartoon villains. But sometimes they just look like Saturday morning cartoon villains. And not the fun ones.
Oh, yeah. So Hitchmeister59 says, are you trying to convince me that teachers are chopping dicks off right and left? So yeah, that's
no, we're trying to convince you that they chop them up and down. Right and left would be, you might hit the legs.
But like that brings up like they're talking about kids going to school and coming home after having surgery that was forced on them without their parents' knowledge. Like, no, these surgeries are so rare and so hard to get. Like the idea that they would be giving them out at school where they can't even agree to give lunch to everybody is just like, no, that's not how it works at all. Anyone who says that is being disingenuous or is a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Ugh. Can we just not have the Republican Party in the United States?
That'd be nice.
That would be an improvement.
Yeah, but that's basically all we need to talk about with this one. Kind of good news, but oh yeah, and bottom surgery is expensive and hurts a lot. I'm 1 week post-op. Yay, Lady Merlin! I remember you from last week. And still need to take Oxy for pain. You'd think people would notice. We have some leftover Oxy that, if it weren't illegal, I would offer to send you. But that would be very illegal, so of course I'm not offering to send it to you.
That would be incredibly illegal.
Yeah, no, that's there's an opioid crisis. So,
or so I hear.
Sending people opioids would not be without a prescription. Yeah. Yeah, so Fennec says, as an adult in my 30s, I need a letter from a therapist and a prior authorization from the insurance before I could even schedule. Yeah. Remember V. LaBianca? I've been following them on Twitter, and they've been... they did... I forget how long ago it was, but it took them a long-ass time to finally get top surgery, and they were like trying for it for years and talking about it on Twitter and like going over how difficult it was. And it's just like the fact that it is so difficult for an adult who can give consent for themselves to get a voluntary surgery, when like if you want to get a breast enhancement surgery, that one you can just like walk in, make an appointment for next week or whatever, and then it's boom, it's done. But like
it feels weird, because then it feels like this thing that is good for the male gaze is actively encouraged. This thing that is bad for the male gaze is actively discouraged.
Well,
even if it's good for people's backs.
In that case, getting the bottom surgery should be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Because
the male gaze,
I'd rather look at a vag than a penis.
Well, yeah, but what about the male gaze?
I suppose they would prefer the penis, yeah.
It depends on what kind of...
I know a lot of gay... Well, not a lot, but like I know some gay men who will tell you that, like, yeah, no, as much as they are not interested in the vagina at all, penises are still fucking weird. My partner over there, she is bisexual, but as far as, like, she's kind of like me, where, like, I'm pansexual but leaning straight-leaning pansexual. She's kind of similar but with bisexual. And she agrees, even though she'd rather be with someone with a penis. Penises are fucking weird.
I think my opinion used to be penises are weird, and then they were like, they're actually kind of attractive if they're on a girl. Maybe this opinion is completely and totally built up by me dating Saki. Who knows?
I mean, it's a whole person thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I find the person attractive, then there are little aspects of it that I might find unattractive on someone else that I find attractive on that person. I can absolutely see that.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the story, it was sent to me by Fennec, so this is not my anonymous source. I finally get a story that's not from my anonymous source, and I forgot to credit Fennec. I'm sorry, Fennec. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I have failed you, Fennec. I'll put the hat back on because I know that Fennec likes the hats. So this is my apology. I'm wearing the hat again, even though you didn't redeem the points. Okay. Moving on. New Jersey. I think this is New Jersey. Yeah, New Jersey is proposing a bill that will have a... before I forget, this was sent to me by Scott Dillahunt, not my anonymous source. Thank you, Scott. If you send me news items at news@vicerhino.com and I use them in the actual thing, then Cirrus will do something that is funny and creative for me to think of right now.
Yes.
I will promise favors from Cirrus.
If you do, then the two of us will do a musical number together.
Welcome home. I'm gonna make you wish that you'd stayed gone. We could do that one.
I'm not supposed to follow up on that until we.
No, I know. I'm not doing the whole goddamn thing. I'm not doing the whole goddamn thing right now.
I am doing the whole goddamn thing.
No, but if it's a reward for someone who sent us the news article, then we have to send it to just them.
I'm gonna make you wish that I'd stayed gone.
Okay, now you just jumped right to the end.
Well, yeah, because I have to wait until the part where I'm allowed to.
Fucking hey. See what you did to us, Scott.
We did our best.
Skimmera? I think that's how I'm supposed to pronounce that. It says that I'd stayed gone. Now, Cirrus was just jumping to the end because I didn't sing far enough for him to cut in.
Because he was singing Vox and I was singing Alistair.
I feel like my vocal range is better for Vox.
I feel like mine's better for Alistair.
I need to actually have the text in front of me to be able to do the fast talking. I can do it. I just need to be reading it while I'm doing it.
I struggle with doing the fast talking part while doing it musically. I can say everything at the proper pace, but I fail to do it musically.
I mean, the transition back to music from like the demon is a coward bit is probably a bit awkward, but yeah. Anyway, travel advisory for reproductive care would be provided under Burzicelli bill. So Senator John Burzicelli introduced legislation that would establish a reproductive health travel advisory to provide New Jersey residents with information about restriction on reproductive health care in other states. I think in a post-Roe world, this is very helpful. So basically, we get more than 100 pregnant women in medical distress who sought help in different states were turned away or negligently treated since 2022, according to an Associated Press analysis. New Jersey's protected them. Other states have not. But so if we look at what the actual thing would be, there'd be a map that's provided to people that's color-coded. And I feel like they went with blue, yellow, and red because the map's already like mostly color-coded blue and red.
Mm-hmm.
So like blue is exercise normal caution. People have access to all forms of reproductive medical care without fear of civil or criminal prosecution. So like if the electoral college map is already blue, then it's probably going to be blue on this map. And then red is reconsider travel, warning of extremely restricted access to reproductive health care that could result in adverse medical outcomes, individuals being subject to civil or criminal prosecution, and those seeking emergency medical treatment being denied potentially life-saving care due to state law. I feel like if you look at the electoral college map, the red ones would stay red on this map. How much money would need to be super chatted to force Has-Been Hotel duet midstream? Not a lot, I think.
In an ideal world with something like that, it would not be sent to either me or Rhino, but us both at that point.
Yeah, I was gonna say like $20 each.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Like something like that, I'd be perfectly down with.
I feel like I'd want to actually rehearse first.
I think it'd be like they send it in, and then we expect that the next stream we're going to do it.
Sure. I would almost want to do it as a stream on its own because I guarantee you that's gonna it's not gonna be copyright stricken where it's like taken down, but it will be copyright claimed because we'll need to use like a backing track or something.
Yeah,
and that will very obviously like just go straight to them. So I don't want all of our streams income to go straight to a bunch of millionaires who made it big making TV shows, but like at the same time, if we're singing your song, that's fine. But if it's like only if it's just that.
Hey, instead, if you have seen what I have seen, you would know pecs can be moobs. Pecs can turn into moobs. It's entirely true.
Have you seen that thing where like guys that are like super duper jacked up when they have like the really really muscly traps, it actually looks like a small person inside a mech of a big person?
Yes. They look like the Goombas from the first Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You say first as if there was a sequel to that.
Well, there is another Super Mario Brothers movie.
Fucking Bob Hoskins was drunk out of his mind that entire shoot.
There is a better Mario Brothers movie. It was just done by Illumination.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, New Jersey is doing travel advisory. Or, well, hopefully doing travel advisory. Yellow will be exercise increased caution, meaning restricted access to reproductive medical care that could result in civil or criminal prosecution. So, one of the things I wanted to bring up with this is that I can't be the only person who has looked at what's going on in the States and actually changed vacation arrangements based on, I don't want to take my gender diverse kids to Florida right now, because that's not a very good environment for them to experience should like something come up.
I think
I have actually changed vacation plans. Like I would have gone to Florida this past winter and spent a week there doing touristy stuff if they were not the shithole that they are when it comes to LGBTQ rights, because our family is, how did you describe it in your thing? It was Rainbow Sparkle. Rainbow Sparkle Neurospicy family is our family.
Rainbow Sparkle Neurospicy family.
Yeah. And so I don't feel like that's a good fit for Florida. So we didn't go to Florida. And you got states like, if this passes, there are going to be people that make vacation plans based on like, oh, I don't want to go to one of the red states where I could go to prison for having a medical emergency there and then getting healthcare for that medical emergency. So I'm going to go to one of the blue states because that's one where like I know I will be safe.
I can definitely understand that perspective, especially because you have kids involved. Like it makes sense. It's not one that I necessarily share, but then again, the stakes are a lot lower for me. My girlfriend
that's the thing. Like I will acknowledge that it probably would have been fine if I took my kids to Florida. Probably nothing would have happened. But the fact that there is a question about that, like it won't happen. I would rather go somewhere where it's like, no, they just don't care. Like, oh, you got non-binary kids? Who fucking cares? Whatever. Give us your tourism dollars. We'll take it.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want to vacation in a war zone. Why would you want to vacation in a red state? I understand that perspective, but the risk of a war zone is far higher than the risk of simply being inside a red state for an amount of time. I live inside a red state right now. My family lives split between two other red states.
When we flew to Mexico, I didn't want to stop in Texas, but I didn't really get a choice in the matter.
Yeah. Randall says, even in a Waffle House. Okay, look, Waffle Houses are safe points. If you die in Georgia, you respawn at the last Waffle House you ate at. They are safe points.
Oh, shit. Reploid sent $40 saying, Rhino, please send half of this to Cirrus. Preferences loser baby, but any is fine. Love you guys. If I can be Husker, we can do loser baby.
Well, then I guess I have to be.
I cannot hit the high notes for Angel.
I'm not great at hitting high notes either, but I guess I have to try.
Okay, that is for next stream. I guess we have to schedule something and like rehearse this now.
I guess I've got to practice loser baby now.
Okay, well, I think my partner has to work tomorrow, so we can do that then, because I'm going to be too embarrassed to be like singing out if there's people in the house.
It entirely depends on if I get a green light from the Democratic Party. If I do, then I won't even be at home. I'm sorry I have to schedule singing rehearsal.
You can be canvassing while singing, Cirrus.
I'm sorry that I have
knock
to
on someone's door. Knock on someone's door when they open it. Go, you're a loser, baby. A loser, goddamn baby.
I open the door. Trump's a loser, baby. A schmoozer, goddamn baby.
Just knock on someone's door. They open it. You're a fucked up little whiny bitch. You're a loser, just like me.
Just like Trump.
That's not a way to win votes, I don't think.
No, it's not. But it's funny as hell, though.
It's fun to picture. Okay. Time for tweets.
Yay.
Starting with Bridget Gabriel. Actually, no, we're starting with Representative Anna Paulina, whatever the fuck her last name is. Says, Kamala Harris has not done a single press conference in the last 72 days. What is she hiding? Nothing. She's done interviews.
She's done fewer interviews than previous candidates. However, if you look at the nature of the campaign, she has had less time to do these, for one, and two, if we're being
she's actually
honest,
fucking working.
If we're being honest, her, just like how Donald Trump's media team will do everything in their power to prevent him from getting on a debate stage against Harris again. Mm-hmm. Harris is not strongest in interviews. Harris is not strongest when she is giving interviews, when she is doing this type of media thing. She is strongest when she has an opponent that she is able to show up. That is something that she is able to do expertly. But when it comes to the one-on-one interviews or just the answering questions from the press, This is not something that is her biggest strong suit. So a competent media team would definitely say, hey, maybe it's better for you to hold a rally than it is for you to hold a press conference. One of these is going to work far better for your campaign.
Okay. Putting that aside, though, because who fucking cares? Whatever. Bridget Gabriel says, America doesn't have a president right now in response to this. Like, you know Kamala's not the president, right? You know Harris is the vice president?
No, that's wrong. You can't bring logic into this. No, stop.
It's like, yeah, no, of course Biden's not doing press conferences. He's out presidenting and shit.
No, you can't make me think about truth and
my God,
important things.
Hats today. I'm running out of hats. I don't normally... Oh, fuck. I think I threw out the actual wig for this, but I just have the beard. So we'll call this a hat.
You'll call it a hat?
Yeah.
Sure. It's your Christmas Rhino. Let's go.
What? What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to continue not saying anything.
And I have an editor now, so I will never see this. I'll never see what you did say.
Exactly.
So
I think.
Yeah, we'll call this a hat. Yeah, so Bridget Gabriel doesn't seem to be aware of the fact that Kamala is not the president. She's the vice president. So, she's an idiot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Burt Macklin posted a picture of Trump, clearly AI generated, building a house or whatever in short shorts.
Why is he so big compared to the house?
Because AI doesn't know what the fuck it's doing.
What even is perspective?
Yeah. Also, I do like that the AI picked up on the fact that Trump has tiny hands, because his hands are disproportionately small as well. But it says,
he gets the itty bitty hands.
But he says Donald Trump will rebuild even if he has to do it himself. To which Colin Rugg, a real political commentator, supposedly, says, "Is this a real photo?"
But
like, obviously, fucking not.
Why would you think that's a real photo? In what world?
Even if you pretend that this doesn't have that weird AI look to it, where every AI picture, no matter how photorealistic, it's just like something is off, like everything is uncanny valley about it, and you can't quite figure out why. I don't know if you get that, but
no, I get that.
When I see an AI picture, almost immediately I pick up on it, and usually it's not like, oh, the fingers are weird or whatever. It's just
it's just
something is off, and I can't even put my finger on it, and the lighting is weird. I don't know, but putting that aside, we know Trump is not that muscly. We know that Trump would never be caught dead wading through floodwaters in short shorts and a tank top.
Yeah. Ulu.
Jester says, perspective is forced, duh. Indeed. Sure, but just the fact that this person could be fooled by that and say, oh, is this a real photo? And actually, not know.
Is this thing real?
It's no, it's not real. It is very obviously not real. How can you possibly think that that was real? Have you not seen any pictures of Donald Trump in the last 10 years?
I don't know what a picture of Donald Trump looks like. Unlike MAGA people, I don't tend to stare at them that much.
You don't have to stare at them that much. You just have to glance. You see how this guy has muscles? Trump doesn't have muscles.
Yeah, it's true. There's an account on Twitter that makes it a point to talk about fashion, usually men's fashion, suits and stuff like that, and had a long ass thread on how all of Trump's attire is meant to hide the fact that he's overweight.
Sean redeemed a hydrate, so I have to take this off. Unfortunately, I'm so sad that I must take the beard off to do the hydrate.
Oh no.
Oh no. That is so disappointing.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you for the hydrate. Yeah, no, he does stuff to hide the fact that he's fat, but he is fat. It's another thing. The AI generated image here, got a nice butt.
His
Trump
arm is
does not have a nice butt.
His arm is in front of his stomach, so we can't see what it looks like. Even the AI hides his tum-tum.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm trying to fat shame
Do
Trump.
you remember when we had a stream that was titled "Come Come on My Tum Tum"?
I believe I suppressed that memory.
We did have that stream. That was the one where someone was saying that like the reason men have hair on their bellies is because they come on their bellies. You don't remember that? You legitimately forgot about that?
I did forget about this, yes.
It's like my favorite thing ever.
Jesus.
I'm just like, anytime I want to grow extra hair somewhere, just gotta come on it.
You know,
male pattern baldness, come on your own head.
Come on your head. I wonder if there's some actual like legitimate science that says, "Oh, by the way, the pores that are not the pores, but the follicles that clog up."
I'm pretty sure I found that one because I follow the account Bad Medical Takes. So no, there is no science behind that. Fennec is saying, look at the link I just put in chat. politicalflare.com/2019/01/Donald Trump often gives cable news interviews in just his underwear. What? I gotta find somewhere where it's clickable. Oh, you're making me go back. Sorry, it's not cropped well, but Donald Trump often gives cable news interviews in just his underwear. Let's file this under information you never wanted to know. According to Anthony Scaramucci's wife, Donald Trump often calls it. Oh, when he's just calling in. Okay. I mean, I can't fault him for being in his underwear when he's calling in. I am wearing pants currently, but I can't promise that I'm always wearing pants.
I am wearing pants currently only because I was out at a canvassing office.
There's literally an outtake in one of my fairly recent videos where I had to explain why my partner just like barged into the room and was like, "You're so handsome." I was like, she's only saying that because I'm in my underwear. Because you can't see my underwear. There's another video where you actually see my butt as I stand up and you see that I'm wearing a thong. I actually had to... I forget why I had to remind her of this, but I had to remind her not too long ago. It was like, no, I have worn your underwear. Because she was like, no, you have not
the
worn...
lingerie.
Yeah.
The lingerie video?
Yeah, where I that was one of the outtakes it was the joke is that I'm wearing my suit up top and then just a thong on the bottom. So I borrowed one of her thongs. You're probably thinking of the one where I rolled across the bed in lingerie. That was that was my dead wife's lingerie.
That's far more morbid.
I'm sorry.
Well, now I will never unknow that.
I'm a horrible human being. What can I say?
These are things.
I'm like, I can't give this to a thrift store, so let's just give them one more go before they get used. Okay. Next tweet. Shall we do the next tweet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next tweet.
Yeah. Sweet.
Okay. This is a multi-part. So what I'm hearing from you is that you'd rather talk about me wearing my dead wife's underwear than Cameron Bertuzzi.
Ever talk about Cameron? Yes.
Okay. But this is not really about Cameron. This is more about Philip Goff. So if you're not familiar, Philip Goff has been a not an atheist philosopher, but an agnostic philosopher. Cameron called him an atheist. He never used that word for himself. He referred to himself as an agnostic. So this is a lesson in framing. So Cameron tweets out, "Big news, Philip Goff has just announced his conversion to Christianity on our channel. He's been an atheist most of his life. In our interview, we discussed the specific arguments that brought him to faith." So if you just get this from Cameron, an atheist philosopher has now become a Christian. An apologetic argument has convinced him that Christianity is true.
Yeah, that's not what he actually did. Yeah, no,
we'll get to that. Because I have Philip Goff is next.
Okay, because I actually know this series.
I know
of tweets.
You know this. I know you know this. So this is why I'm cutting you off before you spoil it.
Yep, I'm not gonna spoil it.
Yeah. So so this is about framing and how apologists like to play fast and loose with the truth in order to make their position look better than it is. So he says that, like, oh, he's converted to Christianity. So that's how Cameron, the Christian, phrases it. Let's see how Philip Goff phrases it. After a long period of careful reflection, I've decided a certain heretical form of Christianity might be true. The full story is in this article, comments welcome, which I promised to respond to. I read most of the article. I got bored like 3/4 of the way through and stopped. But basically, his version of Christianity is, yeah, I believe that there is some form of deistic God out there who is very limited, and the reason he created in the way he did with the Big Bang and evolution and all that is because he has limited power, so he couldn't just create things perfect the way they are. He could only do the Big Bang and then wait for intelligent life to begin. And then the Jesus thing, that's not actually salvation from hell in the way that most Christians today would understand it. What that is it's salvation in this, like, it's actually just like this limited God working towards creating his perfect universe as the intelligent life develops. So, like,
yeah, that's very different.
That's Christianity in the same way that, like, me masturbating is sex.
Yeah, and that it's
like,
not Christianity at all. That's just a form of deism.
Yeah, it's deism with, yeah, okay, the Jesus thing could have been the deistic God doing a thing.
Yeah,
like, he says right in his own post that it's heretical, but, like, Cameron's like, no, he converted to Christianity. A heretical form of it. A version of Christianity that Christians would agree is not Christianity. And, yeah, they're like, Cameron is still on Twitter. Like, I didn't pull the latest one, but he, like, was subtweeting people being like, oh, well, you know, imagine if David Hume converted to Christianity, and, like, people back in David Hume's day being like, oh, you're not a real Christian, though. Would people really be doing that? And, like,
wait, well, hold on. Are you saying people never know true Scotsman?
Yeah, no, well, like, if David Hume's version of Christianity was like, I suppose maybe something heretical might be true, then yeah, the Christians of that day would have been like, no, that's not actually Christianity. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jester Lord of Fools says, a few months ago I shared your link tree for the transpositions Discord. I'm still getting thanked for sharing, so thank you for doing the work. Thank you for that, Jester. So if you're not familiar, if you go to trans.vicerhino.com, that is a forward that will take you to a link tree that has all sorts of it's mostly peer-reviewed research regarding trans people, the fact that trans people are real, the fact that gender-affirming care has the best outcomes, the fact that gender-affirming care for minors is fine, the fact that allowing trans people to participate in sports is fine. I just added the one that we talked about earlier where, like, gender-affirming surgeries don't actually happen, and when they do, it's usually with cis kids, not trans kids. The fact that gender-affirming surgeries have, like, zero regret. Like, there's all sorts of peer-reviewed research, and it's like, it's a massive list. I reorganized it on the back end today, like, not in a way that's visible on the list, but, like, if I need to, like, reorder things, it'll be easier in the future. And it took me so fucking long just to do that because there's so many peer-reviewed scientific articles that are just, like, affirming that trans people are real and their experiences are valid and they should be treated like human beings. Like, that's literally all it is. So yeah, research.vicerhino.com. Feel free to share that with people. Feel free to go through it yourself, and, like, if you feel like arguing with transphobes, you can find specific things that respond to the claims that they make and drop them in there. If you don't feel like arguing with transphobes, that's fine. Just by virtue of the fact that they are online, you do not owe them your attention. It is perfectly valid to be like, no, I don't have the spoons for this today, so I'm just going to, nope,
not deal with it.
On the flip side, you can just, like, drop the link to, like, what I did. I think we talked about this last week with Benny Schetz, where he was like, oh, debate me about trans people.
You're and like, no, I'm not going to debate you on my kids.
Yeah, I got so fucking mad because, like, and this is the thing when it comes to stuff like trans issues is that for the people debating in favor of just letting trans people exist, it is extremely personal. And so Benny Schetz can come in and academically, like in a debate setting, he would probably win because he would not get emotional, whereas I would get extremely angry and yelly and like, you are attacking my children, you're bullying my children, because
when you're
for
literally
me,
just doing what
it
any
is
parent
personal.
would do.
Now, like, mine is backed up, like my position is backed up by science, but I would not be able to keep my emotions out of it because it is so personal to me, whereas he would appear to be more level-headed and rational just by virtue of the fact that he's not getting emotional. But like in this case, it's like, you don't get to debate my kid's right to exist.
Yeah.
And so like that's why I don't debate like that. That's not up for debate for me. This is like, hey, here's a list of a big, long, like it's a huge list of scientific research that says that I'm right. You're wrong. There's no debate here. I'm not going to argue with you. And that's all it is. And like, and this is where like they see it as like, because we can do it without getting emotional, we win. But like, no, you don't get to debate my kid's right to exist. I'm sorry.
Imagine saying that a parent going off the handle trying to defend their kid is a bad thing. This is how the internet fucking poisons us.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. And that's why I'm not, like, if he wants to come on my channel and debate about young earth creationism, fine, I'll debate that. But like at this point,
you're not having to defend your kids
at this point, I know he's going to bring up trans stuff, and it's like, no, you are now saying that my kids don't have a right to exist, and you want to execute my children? No, fuck that. You fuck your face. I don't fucking care.
No, I'm just saying that they deserve to burn forever in a lake of fire because that's somehow better.
Yeah, and that's even like, I know when I was streaming in Mexico, I kind of like had an existential moment where it's like, oh, fuck, these people actually want me dead, as I was like processing the fact that like, oh, I'm now not a straight guy talking about the LGBTQ community. I'm like in it as well.
Yeah.
And like that, it hits differently that way. But even that, it's like, I could still put that aside for the sake of a debate. But like, no, when it comes to my kids, like, nah, fuck you. I am protecting my kids. You fuck off.
You can't put it aside anymore. You're a parent acting the way we expect a parent to act.
Yeah. So like, I can pretend that I don't care about myself, but like my kids, no. Absolutely not.
And it makes sense.
Anyway, I forget how we got here from there, but Cameron's a bigot too, so I'm not surprised that we got there from there. And then this is also related. So he read Philip Goff's article. Craig says, my God, how many people have hat things? Like, all I have left is the fucking mask, which I can't do with the thing, and devil horns, which are annoying as fuck. So let's do the devil horns then. I'm gonna have to start repeating hats. There we go. Devil horns. So Craig, this is still with regards to the Philip Goff thing, says, I read his article. He's a baby Christian that understands Christianity as much as a baby. Okay, first off, like, use a different word. If you're going to insult someone, at least be creative about it. Like, use a different word in the first half of the sentence than the second half. You're a baby who does things like a baby.
Under a baby Christian who understands it as much as you'd expect an infant to. Like at least you're saying the same thing.
You're saying the same thing, but at least this is a different word. Makes you sound more intelligent. He says he has a brilliant intellect that is blocking his ability to understand the basics. He's so smart that he can't believe in Christianity.
No.
Okay. What does that say about Christianity? Oh, you're so smart that Christianity just doesn't make sense to you. I'm sorry that it doesn't make sense to you, but because you're too smart, you're going to burn in hell forever.
Yeah, no, we can just not do that. We can just not do that. That'd be good.
Yeah. I just finished recording a Mike Wing. My schedule is really weird right now because I hired the editor. So I haven't seen the final copy of my video that's supposed to go live to patrons tomorrow morning. So I'm just like, fingers crossed. I did a good job hiring. um, but because I wasn't editing, that allowed me to actually like find a video and like write out a response to it. So like I'm a little bit ahead. So I'm very confused schedule wise. Anyway, I forget where I was going with that. We're talking about, what were we talking about?
We were talking about baby Christians and linguistic faux pas.
Right. So I'm responding to Mike Winger.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, that makes sense, right? So he just posted today. I think it was today, might have been yesterday, but he just recently posted about how like pastors need to be willing to admit when they're wrong and accept correction and everything. I'm just like, literally responding to a video of you that is you behaving in the way that you are accusing other pastors of behaving here, and like down to the fact that like his whole thing is like, it's the Bible seems to be saying bad things, but if you know the context, it's not actually that bad. And he's talking about I think his number is 31, the one where it's like you can like kill all the men, women, and children except for the young girls; those take for yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, oh, atheists say that this is promoting killing and sex slavery. And
But is it really?
But is it really? And so he's like, oh, but the context though. But he spends like the first half of the video talking about how stupid it is to laugh at the idea that we're saying more context makes it better. And atheists are foolish and stupid and ridiculous and horrible. And then when he finally gets to the actual explanation, it's like, at this point you have poisoned the well, so that like, even if a Christian listening to this hears your explanation and thinks like, oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense, they are now going to keep that to themselves, because they are now primed to think that if it doesn't make sense to you, you are a foolish, idiotic, irrational atheist who just wants to hate God or whatever. And it's like, and then he gives the context, like the last little bit of the video, he finally tries to give the context, and the context makes it worse. And he gets the context wrong. He refers to two separate genocides and thinks that they are the same genocide. And it's like, that's actually that's two genocides where they learned from the first genocide how to do the second genocide more efficiently. You think that's a good thing? No, that's not a good thing. That makes it worse.
Yeah.
And then he brings up the marriage laws, like how like, oh, well, according to the Deuteronomy marriage laws, if you weren't happy with the sex slave that you stole from a neighboring city when you conquered them, you had to let her go free after you shaved her head and cut her nails and stripped her of all her clothes. Like, and
you have to set her free after
like,
you do all of these things that are basically torture.
But he says that the Bible says that, like, because the Bible does explicitly say at that point, she is not a slave. It's like, if you conquer her city and take her against her will, and then like the setting her free thing, that is entirely on the man. The man has to decide that he doesn't want her anymore, and so is setting her free. So the woman has no choice in the matter. She has to marry this guy. And it is explicitly stated in the passage that sex is a part of that. How is that not sex slavery? Like, yeah, the Bible...
Because reasons.
Like, the Bible says, yeah, it's not slavery, but, like, the Bible saying this isn't slavery, though, doesn't make it not slavery. It is
Maurice
effectively
Bear,
slavery.
thank you very much for the resubscription. It's not slavery because they said so.
It's not no, because the Bible said so, but the Bible got it wrong, so it's still slavery.
No, I said
Anyway,
so, and I'm the pastor, and I'm the voice of God.
That's not this Friday, that's next Friday, so keep an eye out for that one. That one's fun. And by fun, I mean it's my first video in a long time that I've actually issued a content warning at the beginning, because there's a lot of talk about like sex slavery, and specific to that passage, it's actually child sex slavery, which Mike just brushes over without really mentioning.
Why is the voice of God called Megatron? Well, you see, the reason is because God can turn into a gun.
Yeah.
That's why.
Tiefling Rhino. Speaking of tieflings, my partner and I and my family, we finally got around to watching the D&D movie the other night.
I heard it was really good.
She kept on glaring at me with a "I can't believe you're making me watch this" kind of face. And I've made her watch some terrible fucking movies. I think so. It wasn't bad, but like it wasn't good either. It was like enjoyable, but like it's a fun little romp where things don't really make sense. And like if you're coming at it from a perspective of like this is a thing that would happen as I'm playing a game of D&D, it can be fun. But like as a typical movie structure, it doesn't really work because there's a lot of things that like, oh, that is the dungeon master throwing this in because the players got off track again. And it's like, as someone who has played D&D, that makes sense to me, and I kind of related to that or whatever, but like she doesn't play D&D, so it's like, that's just stupid. Why would they do it that way? Why does this character even exist?
The plot of the movie doesn't make any sense. It's not about the plot. It's about how much the DM lets us get away with.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no, I thought it was a fun movie, but at the same time, I recognize that it was not a good movie. She's saying it was terrible.
Fair. That's fair.
It was a good movie in the same way that The Core was a good movie, in that it's not. It's just fun.
I actually really like The Core.
I know, so do I. But it's not a good movie.
I really, really like when they get underneath and they start seeing all the geodes. It's a very pretty scene. It is,
but it's so fucking
sense.
stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
It makes no sense.
And then Stanley fucking Tucci, just mwah, love Stanley Tucci. He's great.
I enjoy The Core, and I need to watch it again at some point.
Yeah, it's fun. It's the lightning strikes that cause stone to burst into fire.
Yeah. Nothing in that movie makes actual sense.
So great. I love it. Clay Higgins. Content warning here. This is extreme racism. Says, LOL, these Haitians are wild, eating pets, voodoo, nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere, cults, slapstick gangsters, but damned if they don't feel all sophisticated now, filing charges against our president and VP. All these thugs better get their mind right and their ass out of our country before January 20th.
Is he actually a representative of the United States?
Yep. This is not that guy that represents, what is it, the California's 54th district. He's a satire account that everybody falls for all the time. But no, Clay Higgins is a real guy who really represents.
Oh, he's Louisiana. He's Louisiana. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah. Erie XD. God fucking damn it.
Ooh. Ooh.
Fuck off.
Ooh.
Eat turds.
Eat turds.
Oh, whoa. Maurice Bear, also thank you for resubscribing. I appreciate the money in these trying times of...
I appreciate the
No.
Don't let Surus fool you. No matter how much he says he needs money, he hates the oohs more than he hates poverty. And I love that. Keep coming with the oohs.
Thank you for the hydrate, Sylvie. Fine. I'll say those words. Oh, whoa. They're better than the other words. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa.
Ooh, small beans, little babies.
Oh, whoa.
Ooh, small beans, little babies.
I don't know why. Like, it's supposed to pick random ones, but it goes to the H-Bomber guy one most frequently. There's like 7 oohs on there. And we heard 3 H-Bomber guys saying, ooh, small beans, little babies.
Jeez. Loophole discovered. Yeah, for now. Fuck off.
You don't have to wait for points. If you come to my YouTube channel and super chat me $2 and tell me to push the ooh button, I will smash this button.
Ooh,
I don't what it loves H-Bomber guy. I mean, I can't blame it. H-Bomber guy is fucking amazing, but
H-Bomber guy is great.
But like that's supposed to be random, but it kept going to him like every other uwu.
It just really wants him.
Don't we all?
Look, there are some people that have wants, and then there are those that have needs.
You know what? I am going to email H-Bomber Guy or like find a contact form or something that will allow me to contact him and see if he wants to come join us on a Thursday. I do not expect him to say yes. I do not expect him to even notice that we contacted him. But on the off chance that he does say yes, both of us will be like giddy schoolgirls.
I'll take it.
Yeah, 100%. And he's in the UK, so we're probably going to need to do it at like noon or something instead of 8:30. But
yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. We'll take it. He's either going to say no or he's not going to even notice that we contacted him, but I'm going to try. Anyway, Joel Berry. So first, Chief Nerd said, International Longshoremen Association President, so this is the strike, Harold Daggett on the looming port strike, says, I will cripple you and you have no idea what that means. Joel Berry says, this goon should not be allowed to unilaterally shut down America's economy. Each port should have a different union. One union shouldn't control all of them.
No, one union controlling all of them is exactly what you want.
Like, that's the point.
That is the point of a union, is to not have it fractured. The point of a union is to have enough people that can do group advocacy for themselves.
What this guy is trying to say is that, like, oh, we want unions so that we can have the appearance of workers having rights and shit, but we don't want them to actually have the ability to disrupt anything to actually cause any sort of change or whatever. But, like, no, the fact that they are all connected and all doing this at the same time, that is what will cause the disruption that will make people be like, oh, hey, these people are actually important. Maybe we should pay them as though they are important.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, no, if the economy can't survive without the dock workers, maybe we should pay the dock workers as though the economy can't survive without them.
And I'm glad that this time around, Biden decided not to do what he did
With the trains?
With the trains. Because what happened with the trains is Biden ended up getting a bunch of wins for the railway workers after everything was said and done. So the only information that ended up getting out for the most part was that Biden was, quote, anti-union because he made the railway workers work, which was it was an argument that I had until my friend Inane Dragon had to come in and give me the information on, hey, by the way, he did this, yes, but in a follow-up, he did massive things for them to make sure that it was worth their while and to make up for that.
I'm sorry, this is completely unrelated, but I once had Inane Dragon read out, like, when I was responding to an article, I had him read the article and then I would respond to it. And I thought I made it clear in the intro to that video, but apparently I didn't make it clear enough. But it's an older video, so I don't get many comments on it anymore. But like, still, when I get comments on it, it's always like, oh, this guy sounds like he's over the top ridiculous. I can't believe this person actually believes this stuff. Like, no, that's someone, like, no, he doesn't believe that stuff. He's on my side. He's just reading the article.
He's parodying it.
But yeah, so that's a really old video. Like, Inane Dragon and me go way back to like my early days as a YouTuber.
I like Inane Dragon. He's good people.
He is good people.
I need to visit him at some point. Every time that I've passed through his state, the problem is he's on the east side of his state, and whenever I travel through, I'm on the west side of his state.
Man. Fucking east. It's an East Coast elitist. I don't understand that, like, the MAGA people will talk about East Coast elitists, but like, Donald Trump is from New York City, and you guys think he's a billionaire. He's literally an East Coast elitist. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
He's not like you. He's just convinced you that people who are not like you are your enemies.
Yeah. I don't understand why this election is so close. You guys are like, Americans need to get their fucking act together, man. This should not be close. It should not be close. This should be a landslide Harris victory just because Trump is a fucking idiot.
It should be. But, you know, it ain't.
Yeah, I know. Joey, we got a few Joey tweets today. It says, Trump is not a fascist.
Yay.
Calling him a fascist makes you a fascist. End of story.
Calling him a spade makes you a spade.
This is just no you with a few extra words. Like,
Yeah.
come on, Joey, come on. We don't need to dwell on this, though, because we got more Joey coming. Because I
boy.
personally, this one struck me personally here, because I personally have never met anyone who was improved by psychotherapy. Have you? So there's me, there's my partner, there's my kids,
There's me.
you.
I've had therapy.
Yeah. My partner is a therapist. And part of being a therapist is like knowing when to go to a therapist yourself, because like you are now dealing with other people's shit on top of your own. So like you need therapy for that. So yeah, therapy is good. Everybody should go to therapy. Therapy should be covered by OHIP, which is our government healthcare here in Ontario.
Therapy should be covered by, well, coverage.
Yeah, I fucking hate that therapy is so goddamn expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyone who's like a little bit savvy can probably figure out approximately what we make from YouTube stuff based on information that's publicly available. Most of my money goes to feeding my kids and giving my kids therapy.
Most people know what I make from YouTube because I throw the numbers at them.
Yeah, I've seen you do that, and that always makes me super uncomfortable because I'm like, no private data. Ugh. Like, and I get that, like, transparency, fine, whatever. And like, I also live mostly off of people giving me money out of the goodness of their hearts. It's like, on the one hand, I understand that like maybe there should be some transparency there, but on the other hand, it's like, but these are my personal finances. But also like, I have 5 kids.
As I've said before, my thing is it is a personal thing on my end. It is not a standard I think anybody else needs to have. But I know that there's people who have started doing content creation because of my channel, just like people have started doing content creation because of your channel. And one of the things that I try to do is make sure that they have a realistic idea of what content creation is going to actually look like for them. Because if you have all your eggs in the basket of YouTube, here's your paycheck. It is not a living wage. Have fun.
Oh, it changes every month. Like we were just discussing offline, like how the watering hole, but like my numbers on the watering hole have gone up enough that like I'm making like $200 more on the watering hole than I do normally. But on my main channel, I'm making $200 less. So it's like, on the one hand, it's exciting that my smaller channel is growing, but on the other hand, it's like the channel that I pay the bills with is shrinking. And that's scary.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those like, I make enough money to be comfortable, but at the same time, like, there's not a lot of wiggle room there. Now, to be fair, to be clear, Cirrus is the one that's begging for money here because Cirrus got bills to pay, and I am the bigger YouTube channel. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. So like, I am comfortable. Like, I'm not like, it's not like if my YouTube paycheck is a little bit lower than expected, I'm now destitute. And I expect, like, anyone who's going to be my patron, I expect that you like pay your bills first. If you are hurting for money, don't give me money. But at the same time, patreon.com/ViceRhino would be nice.
Clueless Expert, thank you for gifting out 5 community subs.
Now come to my channel.
Now do it again.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, make sure you take care of yourself first. I do not want to be the cause of someone else having trouble paying their bills.
Now do it again.
Yeah, I don't want to cause you to have trouble paying your bills, but like, feel free to give me money. Clueless Expert says I might give 5 subs next week, and I appreciate it. Do some
There you
collabs.
go.
I finally I guess I don't know if it was you guys or if Sir Six audience on their own just remembered that we mentioned it, but Sir Six emailed me last week being like, "Hey, my audience was on me reminding me that we said we were going to do a thing." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." So I told Sir Six to like pick any Thursday. I actually gave him the choice. Either, like, if you want just an informal we chat for a while, pick a Thursday. If you want an actual structured Twit tweets thing where it's still pretty informal, but like there's kind of a structure, pick a Wednesday. So like the ball is in Sir Six court, whatever day works for him. And I don't know if this works for you, Cirrus, but I pretty much said like, yeah, I know you're in the UK, so like if we need to do it at a different time during the day, that's fine.
I'm A-okay with it.
I just assume that we can work something out.
Yeah, for the time being, I don't have a schedule that is like super tight. It is I have a lot of stuff that has to be done, but it's on a semi-flexible schedule.
Plow King says sell some $100,000 watches to rake in the dough. That's
whoa.
like so much has happened this week that I didn't even get into the fact that Donald Trump is selling $100,000 watches. Did you hear about that?
No,
whoa.
I didn't.
And thank you, Dark Falcon, for gifting 5 memberships to the Watering Hole. Appreciate that. My kids will eat many what are they really called? The purple waffles? Toaster strudels. They're called toaster strudels, but my kids call them purple waffles because they come in a purple box and you do them in a toaster like you do waffles. I don't know.
I guess that makes some sense.
It doesn't, but that's what they call them.
Yeah.
We also throw out the frosting because that's really bad for them, and they're already really bad for them.
God, I love that frosting though.
I know.
It's so good.
Fennec says I love toaster strudels and I'm so mad I can't eat them anymore.
I adore toaster
God damn it,
strudels.
another
They're
hat.
so
This is literally the only hat I haven't worn yet, and this doesn't work with the fucking live stream unless we do this, and I can be like that orc from Lord of the Rings that's wearing just someone's dead hat on his head, or dead head on his head. Sure.
Dead head on his head.
Sure. I'm an orc from Lord of the Rings now. There we go.
Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Sure. Next
I
up,
like that. I like that. Lord of the Rings.
I am Leah says, things that helped me survive Helene: a gas car, a gas stove, a gas hot water heater, a gas chainsaw, cash. Things that were useless during Helene: electric cars, electric appliances, debit cards, the city bus, the government, diversity, my tax dollars in Ukraine. So as a driver...
Diversity was... Wait,
yeah, so
hold
first
on.
off, I would think diversity would actually help in an emergency situation where everybody's just like in the same boat.
As someone who survived Hurricane Ivan as one of the few white kids in the mostly black neighborhood, yeah, diversity was one of those things that really helped because people saw each other as humans for a while
And you
instead
come
of
together.
you came together and fucking
help
worked
each
on
other.
shit. It was amazing.
As far as gas car, so in a fairly short
Everybody
term,
ran out of gas during Ivan.
Okay.
There was no gas.
So in a fairly short term event like Helene or Ivan or something like that, it could actually go either way. I could see the use of a gas car and a gas stove and all that shit, but also like I mentioned last week, my car is set up such that you can potentially power your house for a few days off of your car if it's electric. So like if you have, I mean, my furnace is a combination of gas and electric. It needs electricity to work, but it uses gas as the fuel. But like hot water heater. Yep, gas, fine, sure. But if you have an electric one, it can work with like my car. Like if it's done properly, there needs to be like I forget what it's called exactly. It's like a back valve or something like that. Something to make sure that you're not feeding electricity to the grid when the grid workers are expecting there to not be electricity there, because that can actually kill them. So like it needs to be done properly. You can't just like plug it in and do your whole house that way. But like if you do it properly, you can power the essentials like a stove, a fridge, furnace, potentially a hot water heater for like 3 or 4 days with the battery in an electric car. And as many people in the response to this pointed out, if you are set up with solar and batteries, that can potentially last you a lot longer than gas can. It's like if you're without power for like a month, the sun still shines, whether or not the gas stations can pump gas. And if you have solar panels and a battery system, like I have solar panels on my house, I don't have the battery. So right now, if the power goes out, it doesn't matter if the sun's shining. In order to be safe for the grid workers, I cannot be producing electricity for myself because I don't have the batteries to store it. So for me right now, yeah, electric doesn't really work. But if I were to install the batteries, which would not be all that much more, technically speaking, it just didn't really work out. In an emergency situation, I now have batteries that are being powered by the solar that I can charge my car with, that I can run my house from. And that's way better than gas because I don't need to go somewhere to get the gas. It's just shining on my roof. So our gas chainsaw, electric motors are actually a lot stronger than gas motors. So like, I used to think that gas motors were better because like it's powered by explosions or whatever. But then I had an electric weed eater and a gas weed eater at the same time. The electric one just like chewed the fuck out of those weeds. So electric motors are just stronger.
Also, well, I will say that may be true for weed eaters. In my experience, that is actively not true for chainsaws.
I don't know. I've used like one chainsaw in my life.
So,
and I'm pretty sure it was an electric one, so I don't know. I can't compare it.
All of the saws that I have are electric so that they can either be cord powered or battery powered because it's convenient, right?
So Sean Helfin says, why do you need an electric chainsaw unless you're doing surgery on women in history lesson people? So in an emergency situation like the flood with Helene or whatever, I could see a chainsaw being useful for like clearing out a road so you can drive through something.
So if you live in the woods like I do, we have to use the chainsaw like once every 3 weeks because we have to actively take care of foliage that if we don't keep it tame, then we lose the ability to drive down our driveway. Because branches will just dig through. And then when trees start to get too big or too thick, they become active dangers to our house when hurricane season comes around. So we have to get rid of those before they get big. And I've actually done Patreon videos where they've shown me doing tree removal on, like, I've shown them me doing tree removal on my own property.
So I did mean to bring this up, but Fennec brought it up before I got to it. But they saw in the news someone's Tesla flooded and garage burst into flames. So there's pros and cons to both. In the case of electric vehicles, salt water can actually cause fire. And like lithium fire is really, really bad. And it's almost impossible to put out. You just got to wait for it to burn all the lithium away. So... yeah, no, in an emergency situation where you're getting flooded with actual salt water, electric car might not be best. So, like, there are pros and cons to both sides. You can't just say, like, gas is always better, or you can't just say electric is always better. You have to make that decision based on what scenario you're in. Like, I'm in a location where I'm not likely to get flooded, and if I do get flooded, it's going to be with fresh water, not with salt water, so my car is not going to burst into flames, and electric vehicles can actually drive through deeper water than gas vehicles because they don't need the air for combustion. Mm-hmm. So I can potentially get through an emergency flood better than a gas car, as long as it's not salt. And even if it is salt, if everything's sealed up properly, it should be fine. It's just one of those, like, if your car's been on the road for a few years, they're not going to guarantee that it's fine because salt fucking corrodes things. So, like, this is one of those, like, you can't just, like, put electric or gas into this is my political ideology, so I must stand by this at all costs. I will freely tell you that there are drawbacks to electric. The fire thing, like lithium fire, fucking dangerous as fuck. Where I am,
Mhm.
not even in consideration because there's no salt water near me. If you live in fucking southern Florida in the lowlands somewhere, you might not want to buy electric because, like, if you get flooded, it might burst into flames.
Yep. It's also very, very annoying that basic ass shit gets politicized.
Mhm.
Gas versus electric vehicles, gas versus electric tools, or the recent one that still doesn't make any fucking sense to me: raw versus pasteurized milk.
Oh God.
I
Yep.
don't get it. I refuse to get it.
Kill the bacteria. It's better for you. No, but we need, like, if you kill the bacteria, it also denatures protein or something that has never been
It's
actually
a
found.
fucking drink
no.
with calcium. Just put it
fucking
in
drink
your
the milk.
mouth.
I mean, if we want to get to the real nitty gritty there, the dairy farm lobby pushing for milk to be an essential part of our diet all the time. You can do fine without milk. You can raise your kids fine without milk. They can get enough
Yep.
calcium without milk.
It's
But like,
true.
if you're gonna drink milk or dairy products, the pasteurized ones are not going to kill you. So just go with that.
Yep.
And Fennec is talking about fermented foods, so I need to top up my wine. Speaking of fermented.
Oh,
Why?
whoa.
Someone's-
Former FDA microbiologist here. Raw milk infuriates me. Yeah, Heather Bunsen, I think it infuriates most of us.
Clueless expert says true pro-lifers refuse to kill bacteria. Cheers to that.
I guess so.
Patricia Heaton says, is it me or does the president at POTUS and Vice President Kamala Harris seem conspicuously absent from the devastation in the Carolinas? Who is in charge? Yeah, so they're absent.
Pretty sure Biden's actively been talking about the
Mhm.
port unions in those areas. He's actually talking about this shit.
I assumed that this was about the hurricane. And
Well,
so
the port, so the hurricane happening in that area, there was concern that Biden was going to force the port workers to continue working because of the hurricane. So the two,
yeah,
there is
I
a
could see
link
that.
there. Also, Erie XD, fucking, why are there so many ooh-woos?
I've
This
been.
stream.
Hey, I had to bust out my fucking horns for the hats. I've been getting a lot of hats. Everybody's got points this week.
Fucking Rife, thank you also for the tier 1 subscription. I appreciate it from Idaho. Ugh.
Say it.
I already did. Ooh.
No, you just said You didn't say ooh.
Hey.
Come on, that wasn't a proper ooh. Do it properly, Cyrus.
I've now done 2 of them
Do
for
it properly.
you. 2 of them.
Do it properly.
Now I've done 3.
God damn it.
You're gonna get everything but what you want.
Ooh, small beans.
Ooh,
I have what I wanted at the push of a button, Cyrus.
Ooh, small beans.
ooh.
Ooh,
Except it's always fucking H bomber guy. What the fuck? Yeah. So anyway, my point here was that Harris and Biden understand that if they were to go to the Scott Dillahunt says, ooh. Harris and Biden understand that if they go to this disaster area, they now have extra logistical stuff to consider. Like they have, like, Secret Service has to clear shit. They have to make sure that everywhere they're going is safe for them. They have to like clear everybody that's going to meet them. And it's just this logistical nightmare to add on top of the logistical nightmare of recovering from a fucking hurricane. So Biden and Harris are managing it over the phone because that is what is easiest for the people that need the help. Trump, on the other hand, shows up for a photo op and is like, yeah, look at me. I actually care about you people because I am here disrupting services to get the photo op. So here I am. That obviously means that I care more. It's like, no, they are doing what needs to be done behind the scenes to get this shit done while Trump is out in front of the cameras.
It's infuriating.
That it is.
but don't worry, Patricia Heaton. We believe you have a good point. If you're an idiot.
I was going to say, if that point is something related to the Coneheads. Oh, and that was the last one.
Who are you calling Pinhead?
Conehead. Not Pinhead. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but a Pinhead's also a Conehead. Let's be honest.
Kinda.
They
Sure.
look similar enough.
Sure. Why not?
They could replace one with the other.
Okay. That seems to be the end of the stream.
It does seem to be that.
Oh, Progress Only said PR, the PR training. I don't know what that's with reference to, but that did remind me. I am doing, so if you guys have heard of the Creator Accountability Network, it is, it's a group of creators who have decided to be accountable. Like they saw, like there have been a few situations where people in a trusted community were behaving badly, and there was no real protocol in place for addressing those concerns. And so the Creator Accountability Network was born out of those concerns. And I have started the process of becoming credentialed with them. My training is tomorrow, so hopefully beginning tomorrow or shortly, like by next week, you should be able to go to the Creator Accountability Network website and you'll see me on there as provisionally credentialed. As long as I don't like sexually harass people for a few months, I will become fully credentialed. And
Just
I feel
for a
like,
few months, though.
I feel like
After
that's
that,
not a problem because that's not a thing that I do.
After those few months, you're free to go. You can do whatever you want. The bodies can pile high. Oh, whoa.
I don't know how that impacts this show where there's two of us. I have sent Cirrus the link, and whether or not Cirrus is going to get in time for the training that I have tomorrow, or whether it's going to take a little longer for him because he's, dropping the ball or whatever.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
I don't know how it's going to work.
XD, stop with the fucking oohs. I want mercy.
Ooh, small beans, little babies.
I have to take H-Bomber guy out of that. Just say it. Come on, say it.
I already did.
No, you didn't.
What?
You said what's with the fucking ooh-woos. That doesn't count as giving an ooh-woo. You gotta like lean into the mic and do the cute little.
Are you one of those
ooh-woo?
people that say? Are you one of those people that say gaslighting isn't real and you're fucking crazy if you think so?
I have not heard you say ooh-woo by itself for this ooh-woo. I have just heard you say it in a sentence.
Only one person ever gets this specific, and it's you, Woo.
That's as my partner would say, that is the autism.
That's close enough.
All right, so that's it for the stream. Look into the Creator Accountability Network because I think they're doing some good work, and I am super excited about actually being involved with that. And also with the fact that I'm hiring an editor now, it's like, now it's something where it's like, it's not just me with an editor. It's like, if I do something that makes you uncomfortable, you can go to these people, and you don't have to go face to face with me for that. So like somebody else will handle that for you. So like, I'm excited to be held accountable. And I think that's great. And as always, fuck off.